Yes, people, party people in the house. What's going on? Friday night Premier League show. Premier League is over, but we've got a lot of questions here to ask. How are you getting on, Tony, man?
Blessed King, blessed. I'm very well. I'm excited. Got my trip booked up to LA and Las Vegas. LA, of course, to see Arsenal versus Barcelona, preseason friendly. I know it's a nothing game, but hey, I get to see the SoFi Stadium. I get to the LA Chargers and the LA Rams home stadium, a magnificent stadium. Pisses all over anything we've got over here. So that's going to be, attraction number one. Attraction number two, 3 days later in Las Vegas, I'm going to be there. Terence Crawford against Errol Spence. The fight of the decade. I'm in attendance. Let's go.
Excellent. You can see the fire in Tony's belly there, man. Listen.
Sorry, go on.
He's having way too much fun. We're going to have to go with him, man. Shout out to all the new subscribers as well.
Oh, you know Clyde's coming, by the way, just so you guys know.
Is he going, yeah?
Yeah, me and Clyde are on that trip.
Nice. You better hope you don't end up like the Akoli fight, yeah?
Yeah, no, that's like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid right there, man.
Isn't it?
Trouble in the area, murder. There's some big time going on there. Neil, what's going on, Neil?
Yeah, I'm good. Look, I've been through the ringer this week, man. Got into a little fender bender during the week. Some guy hit me in the back. I got to watch how I say these words because I know how you lot like your double entendres, yeah? Right? He hit me in the back. And I'm getting that sorted out now. Nothing serious or anything. But apart from that, it's all good. It's all good. It's a little bit boring now. Now that the league's done, I'm bored out of my head. Yeah, because I've got nothing to look forward to. Well, nothing for a couple of months anyway. Yeah, and that's gonna be a long time, man. Long time. But apart from that, yeah, everything's good, man. Everything's good.
Yeah, good, man. And what about you, Drew?
Can we just point out that as a Liverpool fan, Neil hasn't probably had anything to look forward to since about Christmas.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that, Neil.
Drew. You're lucky. I don't know where you live. You know. Look at his face.
I would send you my address, but quite frankly, you don't want to come down here. It is.
Is it that bad?
I mean, there are dives, and there is where I live.
Oh wow! Sounds like as soon as I get into the area, I'll catch something like dysentery. You know.
Well, no, I'll be fair. It's better than when I used to live in Luton, but
Luton's not too bad. Get down! Sorry. That was a cat. That was a cat. She's never jumped.
I have a dog.
She's never jumped on the sideboard, but when she tries to get my attention, she does stupid stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she should be sitting in your lap. Drew, how are you getting on? Congratulations.
Do you know what? It's been a good week until the moment I realised, because obviously we got the old beard going, but as you can see, it is unkempt and untamed. Now I made a bet with someone about this beard that I wouldn't shave it until a certain point of the football season. Now, I was slightly drunk. I kind of misunderstood when the shaving could take place. I thought after Man City lost a game, I could have a shave. No, turns out we have to be eliminated from a competition before I can have a shave. And the competition happens to be the Champions League. So even if we lose to United tomorrow, I've got another week of growing this and looking more and more vagrant as we go.
That's all right, mate. That's all right. You look all right. You've got a man's beard. You've got a man's beard there. Yeah?
I am starting to look like I live in a cave. And quite frankly, I think I found wildlife in there earlier.
What, in your beard?
I'm pretty sure there was a shrew just living in the corner.
Mad. So, guys, listen, let's get straight into it, man. This is really just a review and questions. You know, there's going to be a lot of questions, and you guys can come up with some questions with your teams as well. And let's just throw out the answers out there. But I do want to reflect before we talk about next season. I want to talk about what were the biggest questions leading into last season. And the first and most important biggest question was, drum roll, da, 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 da. That was the question. And let's let Drew talk about that. Drew, biggest question was, how will Haaland be integrated? How did it work out for him?
Well, I remember on the pre-season podcast that we done, I sat here and I said Alvarez will have the better season.
Yeah, you did.
Now, Alvarez had a very good season, but let's face it, did any of us ever believe that Alvarez was going to have a better season than Haaland? Not in any way, shape, or form. We all knew Haaland was going to have a good season. I didn't realise how little he would be involved in a game, though. I mean, I remember we had it at one point when we had Aguero. He is scoring a goal every 82 minutes. Haaland's just gone every 67 minutes between goals in a season.
Yeah,
and
but
in
is
less than a
Alvarez
quarter
actually
of
needed now?
touches.
Is he needed
Sorry?
now? He's not really needed. He's not really needed now, is he?
The thing is, though, and I'm a little bit gutted Andy's not on the podcast, actually, because Andy's always telling us about the importance of Harry Kane for his goals and his assists. Haaland got more goals and more assists than Harry Kane this season.
There you go.
Yeah.
Which
He's had a record-breaking season.
It is apples and pears. I mean, let's face it, Haaland's actually playing a team that could be bothered to turn up every weekend. But
yeah, it's hard, but I think judging by the results of what Spurs have been going through, it's no surprise that Andy's not here. If I was him, I'd go and try and play as much tennis as possible. Tennis is the way. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh dear. So let's go into another question for Neil. This one is. By the way, let's say hello to T. What's going on, T? Welcome here, bro.
Then, guys, I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry, man. I didn't want to interrupt, man.
Big up, man, like Trevor in the place, my official school PE teacher. Go on.
I hope everyone's okay. Hope everyone's all right.
Good. Doing good,
excellent,
man. Doing good.
Excellent. So the other question that was going into the past season was, drum roll, da 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 da. Neil, you're up.
Saleh. Oh, Mane. Oh, what, you want me to sing the song? I'm not singing that song, because he's done now. He's done. It's done. So, what's the question? Is it a question on how well Salah was going to do, or how we're going to do without Mane?
Both.
Well, Salah still had
that was it, wasn't it? The question going into last season is, can Salah carry you on his back because you haven't got Mane anymore?
Well, to be honest, yes, we have missed Mane, but we have got players coming through who can take over from him anyway. It will take, as I said to you, it will take a couple of seasons. You know, there's no direct replacement for him straight away. But then the other side of that is, look at him at Bayern Munich. What has he actually done? He could have repeated that season, what he's done with us. Yeah,
yep.
He could have repeated that with us, and he could have punched out someone like VVD instead of Sané. Yeah. Have we done? Would we have done better if Mane was there? If it was the Mane 2 seasons ago, we probably would have. But as I said, as you see, he's lost his form at Bayern Munich. He probably would have lost form at LFC. Would we have done any better? Maybe not. We don't know. But we have got players that have come through that are taking over, that are younger, and they're players for the future.
Can I just make an observation of Mane, actually? I don't think he lost his form in the Bundesliga. I think he ran into a system that was just not suited to him. The Bayern Munich system doesn't work for Mane. But I think he was a bigger loss to Liverpool than what Liverpool have been to him.
No, he was a bigger loss for us because we were on a high when he was there, and to replace a player like that and not actually have much of a plan, that's where we suffered. We've got we have brought players in, but you got to give them, for me, as I say, you always got to give them a season before you start seeing how well they're going to do with the team and how the team improves. So the fact that we lost him, we didn't have anyone that was running with the ball apart from Salah. Salah's done well this season, but it's not enough. Not enough. not enough. So
I
I don't
think
know. We'll see.
I also think as well that I think Diaz is good enough. I think Liverpool went in naive. I don't think they exactly did not have a plan. I think they
No,
thought
but
that.
Diaz is good enough, but he went injured. He was injured.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna obviously go in and say, "Oh yeah, 100% he's gonna get injured." You thought it was like for like, and I think you thought it was kind of like problem solved kind of thing. And I
No,
think he is good. And I think Diaz is good
he's
enough
he's
to do
slightly,
the job.
yeah, but he's a slightly different player to Mane. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. That's what everybody's talking about. Everybody's talking about.
But
You haven't got a direct replacement for him because people are expecting you bring another player in and he's going to be exactly like the player that left. That's
I
not going to
think
happen.
the
Yeah.
management skills that you have when you have with Klopp, it's the same as Guardiola. I think like Klopp is good with getting the best out of players and obviously making players work within his system. So I think it just takes time. It's obviously time and gelling him into the system. He would have been able to do the exact same job as Mane did, but obviously, unfortunately, he got injured.
But that goes back to what I was saying before. You got to give them, me personally, you got to give them a season. So this isn't the season. This is that kind of bedding in season. Yeah, it's next season that you're going to see how well he does, providing he stays injury free. And it's not just him as well. You got Gakpo and you got all those others as well. Nunes.
See, I'm going to say something controversial about Gakpo,
Go on.
and I've been very critical, in all fairness, of Nunes as well. Nunes has it up top to fit the Klopp system eventually. I don't think Gakpo does. I think Gakpo can go missing.
What
I don't
position
think he's
is
got it
Gakpo?
between the ears. Yeah,
Because what position is he?
Well, I don't think there's a decided position as such because the team is still based around Salah, and all the other players that we're bringing in are fitting around him, and we're playing them on the wings. For me,
I don't see where Gakpo fits so with that system because
for me,
he's not a skillful winger. He's not big enough and strong enough to go through the middle.
He's better off in the middle than going down the wings.
I think he's played his best football off the wings though against PSV. If you saw him against PSV against Arsenal, he played very well, cutting off just off the
but
wing,
that's a different team,
linking
isn't
up
it?
play and running at players.
But that's a different team, though.
Yeah,
you're
guys,
a different team with different players.
If I can chime in here, guys, I think the answer is teams just don't ask those questions anymore. Managers don't ask their questions anymore. If you look at Arsenal, Arteta's filled his squad, much like Man City, with players who are versatile and can play multiple positions.
Jack of all trades.
Gakpo's played all across the line. One of the reasons why I told Tony that I wanted him at Arsenal is because he plays on the right, plays at the anchor at the number 9, and he can play on the left. And you look at Arsenal, that question would apply to Trossard, would apply to Smith Rowe, would apply to multiple players, including Jesus. Jesus scored, 93 goals, 240 appearances for Man City playing on left, and then he plays up front for Arsenal. So with Gakpo, it's not where do you want him to play, it's the fact that he can play everywhere. It helps the team. And that's why it's frustrating listening to Arsenal fans saying, where's Smith Rowe's best position? Where's Nelson's best position?
But that's what Klopp does. Klopp will take a player, and it doesn't matter what he played, what position he played in the previous team. He will take a player and he will mold him into someone slightly different. Klopp likes his front three, to be jack of all trades but master of none, basically.
Literally.
Right. Literally. So if he can move them around, he'll move them around. Yeah. It just depends on who we're playing and what form they are on the day. Because you'll definitely see at times when Mane was playing, he was swapping with Salah from time to time. Yeah. And that's what Klopp wants. He wants someone who's going to be versatile rather than someone who's rigid in that one position. And that's how he likes his front three. And that's how he plays them.
So let's carry on with the questions. This one will. Oh, sorry, I've got an African Guna coming in as well. Big shout out to you, my brother. Shall I throw this question to Tony or the African Guna? You know what? Let's throw it to the African Guna. So the biggest question actually, no, I'm switching it to Tony and the African Guna can wait. Tony, the biggest question last season for Arsenal was, can Arteta get Arsenal into the top 4? How do you think he did?
Well, he's obviously achieved it. So how do I think he did? I know he did excellently because he did the job it with ample aplomb, you know. So in that respect, he's overachieved on what we originally were planning to do, because top four means either place 1 or place 4, and we got second, and we challenged to the very end of the season, which I don't think any Arsenal fan would have thought we would have done at the start of last season. So that's my answer.
Yeah. Lafka, what's your thoughts on that as well? That was the target last season, and that was one of the biggest questions going into this season. How do you think they did?
So we're talking about the season that just ended, right? Not next season.
Yeah. So before we talk about the upcoming season, we're just discussing what was the biggest questions going into last season. What would have been the impact of Haaland? How would Liverpool have gone on with Mane, which we've just been discussing? And then this one is the biggest question for Liverpool, for Arsenal was, can Arteta get Arsenal to the top 4?
Yeah, no, Tony brought up some really good points. I think not only from an Arsenal perspective, but from any football fan perspective in any league in the world. If you had asked them where Arsenal would have finished in the season, they would have probably said 4th at best, right? Champions League making it, and maybe at the final stages of the season. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great season, finishing second, pushed City all the way till the end, as Tony said. Still had hoped for a bit better, considering that I just saw you over the weekend and would have loved to watch Arsenal lift the Premier League. But at the end of the day, still an incredible season, still an incredible team that is super young and only on the up, right? And with the right recruitment as well this summer. A lot of rival fans take shots at Arsenal, bottling the league and stuff. And honestly, my honest opinion is the reason for that is because everyone is scared of Arsenal. Everyone knows that Arsenal is back, so they find every reason to pick at us. If we were still 5th, 6th, or 7th, they really wouldn't talk about us as much as they do now. They just threaten, in my opinion, because they know
Spurs fans, yeah?
No, I think all fans, Chelsea fans, United fans, Spurs fans are just really quiet, to be honest. Liverpool fans, I don't hear, to be honest, too much. They kind of stay in their own lane, but specifically Man U fans, Chelsea fans, they love to just talk about how Arsenal bottled the league, but it's only because they know that next season we're going to be challenging again.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, T?
I think African Guna and Tony kind of touched on everything, to be fair. I feel like it was, as Tony said, nobody really expected us to hit for them heights. Everyone thought we was probably going to get Europa League at the start, and then we've just got on. We've gone on. The boys they did well. It was obviously a harsh blow that to concede the way we did. The whole league concede the way we did. I know, obviously, I've had conversations with Tony and you and then the rest about bottling. I'm one of the people that do think we did bottle the league, because obviously I just don't generally feel that you can be 8 points clear at that point and time in the league and let the league swing the way it did. And Man City won the league without kicking a ball and 85 points. But at the end of the day, overall, you got to look at it as in they performed well. We know what we have to do. And at the end of the day, everybody at the club knows what is needed now to move forward. And we can only use this as I guess a hurtful experience to and a confidence boost. We said this last year, to be fair. The same thing kind of happened last year, and now we used it to pump us up. We got into a title challenge. Last year it was for Champions League, and now we pushed for the league. So hopefully now we should, with the correct recruitment and the right mentality placed and the right standards placed at the club, 100% we can challenge still, definitely 100%.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that when you said 8 points clear, because Adrian Durham tried to use that to rile and wind up the Arsenal fans on TalkSport. And Darren Bent, which is what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks on my podcast, is that it actually wasn't really 8 points, was it? Because we were a game in we had played one more game than them, so they had a game in hand, and we had to go to the Etihad. That wiped out 6 points. 6 of those 8 points was just completely evaporated because of that situation. So it's nice. Yeah, 8 points was the lead, but in theory, there's a lot of work to do, man. And the injuries just kept piling up. By the time we got to Etihad, there was no Saliba. The whole thing was in a mess. Partey was in his worst form. Yeah, it was one of those. But the next question I'm going to answer, and you guys can chime in. I think this was one of the biggest because Chelsea had spent the most money in the last 3 years out of any club. They had just won the Champions League the year before. So one of the biggest questions was, what was the impact of Chelsea's new ownership? And as we know, there was all kinds of mess around it with the government and Ukraine and all this stuff. But this was a trying season off the field for them. And there were times when it appeared that Abramovich was going to distract everything throughout the season. And then the sale got done. Thomas Tuchel, I think that was the worst piece of business sacking him. I mean, why? Just what? Where would Chelsea have finished had they not sacked Tuchel? Maybe the same can't be said for Spurs, but I think it can be said. Tuchel, he was so committed to the program, barely got enough time to spend any money on the players he wanted to play with. Had to get rid of like Pulisic, Ziyech, Timo Werner. I mean, he had to get rid of like 6 or 7 players. The whole thing was just a mess.
Quickly. Chelsea literally grabbed 10 points off Tuchel, by the way. So imagine if they had sacked him before that and they had kept Frank in longer, they would be in a relegation battle, a deeper relegation battle than they were in.
Yeah, does anybody else want to chime in on that?
I'm going to say one thing. I actually think Tuchel would have got Chelsea out of the problem as the season went on. I think Chelsea would have finished top 6. They wouldn't have got Champions League places. They might have the quality in terms of, you look at it on paper, they're better than Newcastle, they're better than Spurs, they're better than all of the teams that finished directly above them. But the players, we've seen it before with Chelsea, there's a lot of quit in those players as well. Even when you're looking at players like Thiago Silva, he is a paycheck player at this stage of his career. He's not there to win, he's there to collect a massive bonus every year.
Which he's getting.
But I think Chelsea would be better off not getting rid of Tuchel. But on the flip side as well, if they'd never sacked Tuchel, would Brighton have finished the season as strongly as what they finished the season? Because I think De Zerbi managed to take on a team who were doing wonderful things under Potter, but they improved immensely after Potter's departure, which is saying something because they were already a good team. So it was a double-edged sword. Brighton got a hell of a great deal out of Potter leaving. So,
and they're still without a club.
Yeah,
I hear there's a vacancy at Tottenham Hotspur.
I heard he's going Palace.
Oh God, yeah, I could see him going to Palace. That would be a great deal for Palace. That'd be a great deal for Palace. Bertram, how are you? Good afternoon. 6 o'clock in New York. How are you?
This is starting to look like the Brady Bunch now.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear that, Neil. What you said?
I said this is starting to look like the Brady Bunch now, with the way the pictures are, the way we are. We just need 2 more people to join.
Yeah, no, I'm doing well. I'm listening to you guys. I had to join for a few.
So let's come off the impact of Chelsea's new owner, and I just want to spot this one at Bertram. So Bertram, we're done with last season now. It's gone. We've covered the biggest questions there. Now let's really move on to next season. So I'll start and open it up by, will Arsenal challenge for the title again? And obviously, what are their Champions League expectations? I'll let you go first.
Which seem to suggest we challenge this year. So
yeah.
No, 2 things. One is, I think it depends on the acquisitions we have in the offseason, right? How do we strengthen? Well, it's 3 things. 1, how we strengthen. 2, what system he plays. And 3, him learning how to manage. And I know I got grief from Tony talking about Mr. Contrarian the other day, because I said Arteta is not a good manager. He's a very good coach.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between being a manager and a coach. So you can be great on the field, giving guidance, developing a system, implementing a system, helping the players to improve. But when you go pick a team and manage a game, it's a whole different situation. And I would love for someone to tell me 1 game this year where we walked away saying Arteta did a brilliant game management, not his coaching, not his setup, not playing an inverted left or right back. Just tell me one game, and I could name multiple
Newcastle.
games where his coaching was
I was just
atrocious.
about to say Newcastle. I was just
And
Look,
also
you know,
the Aston Villa
guys,
game,
back up,
he
back
brought
up,
on the
back
right
up, back
subs.
up. No, back up, because you guys seem to miss the games we played. Murphy missed a sitter in the first 10 minutes of the game. Don't let
It's
the
part of the
outcome and the
game.
result. Don't let
It's
the
part
outcome
of
and
the
the result.
game.
Let me finish, African Goon. It's my time. Let me finish.
Go for it.
Don't let the outcome and the result skew your perspective on how the game went. I could win a game and didn't play great. Yeah, we played decent at Newcastle. They bombed us 3-0 last year. But they dominated the first 10 minutes and should have scored. Don't let them miss it. What did they do in the game itself? What did they change in the game itself? So he's a brilliant game manager. I can go back to the Man U game, the first game of the season when we were down 1-0, and he put on a bunch of forwards like we were losing, we were down 2-1. I could tell you games against Man City where Pep changed his style, played long, and he still had Holding trying to play like Saliba, which made no sense. I could show you games he's pressing when he should change the press because he's not getting the turnovers he looked for. So you guys gotta think through these things and stop being skewed by the view because we did really, really well. Yeah, we did well. We had a great system, and the system worked. But when your personnel change and they don't fit the system, here's a brilliant move. Fred marking De Bruyne out the game against Man U in the second game and killing Man City because they couldn't get the ball to Holland because De Bruyne couldn't breathe because they played a box and one on De Bruyne. That's brilliant in-game management. And I bet Fred played tomorrow, even though he's not playing most of the games in the season. I'll stop there.
Okay, so I'm going to take this one, obviously, because I'm a manager. So I got a lot of experience in the field of 12 years as a manager. And there is a difference between the two. I don't agree with you at all on that, Bertram. Obviously, it's your opinion. I respect it. But I look at it very differently. I look at it in terms of coaching. Coaching, and Tony's done a bit of this as well. It's long-term based. It's more personal orientated, and there's that partnership and relationship you're looking for there. And as I said, it's a very minute long-term goal when you're a coach. When you're managing, it's more task orientated. A lot of tasks. It's more of a directive, short-term focus because you want to win now, right? So you're implementing things that will happen quickly and fast. And it involves a lot of delegating, a lot of organizing. We've seen that. We got an inside camera view in the All or Nothing Arsenal show. We saw all of that, which we'd never seen before. We saw all what that type of delegation looks like.
A lot of that was PR, though, man. Come on, he knew the cameras were there as well. I'm just saying, like, he knew the cameras were there.
No, that's not how it works.
He knew the cameras were there.
Sorry, T. You have to. I'm not sure if anybody told you, but I worked alongside Amazon in the whole process. Cameras were all there, and then they never knew when they were shooting, so they set the cameras up just like.
No, but he knew. No, I'm not saying as in he acted in a moment. He knew exactly how to act because there were cameras there.
I don't buy that at all.
I'm not saying 100%. I'm not saying 100% he was a fraud or whatever, but I'm just saying that because there was cameras there, I think it was a bit over exaggerated.
So as I said, the cameras are installed in certain places, but they do not know. You were talking about over the space of 9 months. You can't keep that act up over 9 months.
Please tell me the game where you did brilliant in-game management, which were accepted. Tell me the one game this year where we were under pressure, where he made something in the game itself that changed the direction of travel for the game.
Yeah, that would have been for me the home game win against Liverpool, and how he directed the flow with Tomiyasu, what he did with Ben White, and what he did with Thomas Partey.
Apollo, stop making stuff up.
Come on.
Don't make stuff up, Apollo.
Come on.
In-game management. I switched. Wait, Apollo. I'm playing short, so I decided to go long. I change a player to go play.
We don't have those options.
No, hold on. Let me come at him with another way, right? We went to Manchester because I'm not going to spend too much on this. You got your opinion, doesn't really matter what I say. I got my opinion, so and that's how it works. Everything's suggested. But I got two examples for you. The first example was when we went to Old Trafford and we got beaten on the counter-attack. Every publication said, "Oh, Arsenal's got a weakness. They're going to get beaten on the counter-attack." Over the next 2 weeks, there was that problem there. What happened? He sharpened it up and he tactically got rid of that. The next one is Everton. Everton went long against us and that created all kinds of problems. What happened next week? Brentford did it, and then the other team did it after that, and they were starting to get success against Arsenal. What did he do? Tactically stomped it out. So those are two instances where he's seen things that have happened, and I'm not saying that they're in game. I'm saying that they are managerial changes that are tactically shored up weaknesses within the team. Now, while he hasn't got himself over the inverted left back thing, the guy's got 3 years management experience. So I understand, and you're well within your right to hit him over the head with it. But I can still see a guy who's learning. If I look at Arteta managing and coaching as a process this past season to when he first came here, two different people. So what is he going to be like in the next year or 2 years or so forth and so forth? And Drew will tell you how Pep has changed and developed from when he was at Barca, Bayern Munich to Manchester City. It's not the same Pep. It's a different Pep Guardiola. So managers evolve. I've evolved in my role. I could tell you I wasn't a very good manager in the first year or two. In fact, I did some things which I'm probably not, that I'm ashamed of. But the fact is, I grew and got more experience and turned into one of the best managers in my company. That's how it works. You should know that yourself at that level, Bertram. So, look, it may be a little bit harsh. I do accept a lot of what everybody's saying. I myself have been on record saying what he did on team sheets, what he did on substitutions, how he left a lot of energy and talent on the bench, came back to bite him. But I loved what he said in the last week where he said, we've got to reflect and look at everything, including my own performance. So that's a guy that tells you that he is holding himself to account. That's all I can ask for as a fan. Yeah. Is there anybody else that wants to comment on that before we move on?
I'll
No,
say
very
one
well
thing on
said.
the Arteta thing.
I'll say
I
two
genuinely
things.
like
One is-
Arteta.
Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah, no, I genuinely do like Arteta. He's not going to be the elite manager that Arsenal are going to need in 5 years' time. He's just not, because he picks up on the faults, he changes the faults, but when he changes and adapts to one problem with the team, he then neglects another area. And that's one of the problems that Arteta's got. He might learn that in time, he might not. I don't think he will, though. But I don't think that Arsenal actually had a bad season at all. I think Arsenal didn't bottle the league. I think Arsenal probably overachieved in the amount of points they got and the amount of goals they've scored. But I don't think they'll be challenging for the league next season because other teams should actually perform to the level that we thought they would this season. Bar Spurs. Spurs will still be a hot mess next year. So, but I don't see Arsenal finishing second again next season. I think United probably and Liverpool will be at the fore next year.
So two things. One is I tell my staff every day, periodically, which is two main ingredients you need as a professional in most disciplines: technical ability and awareness. How great am I at my job, and how aware I am about what I know, what I don't know, what I need to do. How do I advance? So when you give me this stuff, I smile and say, okay, fine. And Drew is wrong, by the way, Drew. You're wrong. And here's why you're wrong, Drew, because we bottled the league in the last 8 or so games. We bottled it. We're dominant. We lost Saliba. Anyone could call it bottled. Not totally bottled. We lost Saliba, which was huge for us. And if we didn't lose Saliba, it may have been a different outcome.
Secondly, when you're relying on Rob Holding to take the Saliba role.
I'm coming to that, Drew. I'm coming to that. Last year, Rob Holding got burned at Tottenham, which should have told Arteta that this will not work. When we played against Son and Kane, he got totally destroyed. Same concept, playing high press, ball in behind, he can't play out. But let me not go back to that. The reason why what we will do well is if we recruit really well, say we get a Caicedo and a Rice and another forward, and our defense stay healthy, and we get a backup center back, why wouldn't we challenge now?
I think there are other teams who have just underperformed this season who will be back to the fore next season.
Definitely.
I think United are a team in the ascendancy, quite honestly.
But I'm not. Even if they get better, Drew,
me.
It may be that Man City comes back more to the pack, or they get stronger. Doesn't mean that we won't get better than we were this year, and also be able to play well against those teams and play better against Man City. Because if Arteta, as smart as I think he is, he would have learned that he played Man City this year when he lost 3 times and did the same thing over and over again. you can't make the same mistake more than once and learn, you may learn that, you know what, I play them differently. Maybe I do what Spurs does, because Guardiola doesn't beat Spurs. When last has he beaten Spurs?
Well,
At Spurs home.
the problem is, though, when you face City this season, especially the final game where we did absolutely decimate Arsenal, Arteta's
True.
come out and lined up, and he's learnt from the last 2 games against City, and he's set up like we're going to play the same way. But we've completely changed the way that we're playing by the time you get to the 3rd game. And this is one thing I'll actually agree with on this, Bertram. I don't think Arteta's in-game management is at the level that it needs to be. Whether it'll evolve, I don't know. I personally don't think it will. I think he'll always make the same kind of mistakes on that front when it comes to the in-game management.
Because he's a systems coach. I have a system. I'm not going to change my system. I think my system is dominant. You have to beat me.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's move on. Not unless you wanted to say something about that, Trevor. It's okay. It's okay. We can move on if you want.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to Neil. Neil, biggest question, and after you have your say, I'll open it up for around the group and see what we all think. One thing I gotta say to you, Neil, when I was tracking the points in the last 8 games of the season, guess who had the most points? Liverpool. You're on mute. You're on mute at the moment, Neil.
Sorry. So that's
I bet that was juicy as well, man. I bet that intro was just like, yo, I'm walking down the red carpet, bro.
no. Let me answer your question first. Can we still get into the top 4? Yes. Yeah. But the only way we can do that is if we sort out our midfield during the summer. Yeah. That for me, that's been our always biggest problem. Is we just don't have midfield. We just don't. The players that we have are crap. I mean, you lot can come and take flipping Chamberlain back for a start.
No thanks. You know, he never played in the midfield for Arsenal, not even once.
Yeah, but see, that's what Klopp was doing. Klopp was taking players and he was making them more versatile. So they weren't. He doesn't need the greatest players in their positions. He just needs players that he can move around as and when he needs to, and the team doesn't really drop form that much. And that's how he's been successful. That's how he's been successful. Because when you think about it, Firmino and Mane came in. Were they really forwards? No, they're more midfield players. Yeah, and he turned them into forwards, and that's it. That's his skill. That's what he can do. He makes players a bit more versatile than they actually can. Hendo, before Klopp got there, Hendo was hoof it forward. But I mean, I still don't like Hendo as a player. As a person, he's probably okay. But he can run with the ball a little bit now, which he couldn't do before Klopp got there. You know, and that's the sort of thing that Klopp's doing. So it'd be interesting to see who we get to plug those gaps in midfield and how well he can get them to play with the rest of the team. But I think that will be top 4 next season.
And I'll open that up to anybody else. Tony, you go, mate.
So my question to you, Neil, is at the expense of who?
What, top 4?
Yeah.
Newcastle or United?
Ooh, okay. I knew he was going to say that, so I better pop you. I know you guys like the bookies. I know you guys like the bookies.
I say Newcastle and United because if I look at form, yeah, if you lot play the way you played next season, you're definitely a top 4. Definitely top 4.
They're gonna be good next season, though, man.
What you got to remember?
Good next season.
What you got to remember though is that we lost form at the wrong time of the season, which is most of the season basically. If we can get our form back, we're top 4. Yeah, it doesn't matter who drops out, we're top 4.
So the bookies have it that Newcastle will drop out. And I have to say that in the beginning, the first half of the season, Arsenal and Newcastle's defense was exceptional. Newcastle was outstanding. Arsenal finished the season with 10 clean sheets away from home. As
But you
ties
see,
of
what
Premier
you
League.
what you got to look at as well. Those positions are based on what happened this season. Yeah, how well the teams are playing. One thing that the bookies have not taken into consideration is the summer transfer window.
Yeah,
Yeah, the summer transfer window is going to make the difference for some of those teams.
honestly.
Yeah, and that's not taken into account when you look at those odds. Those odds are based on the way the teams have played. Liverpool obviously got up there because we put a good string of wins together towards the end of the season, and we looked strong for it.
So Neil,
Question.
Hold on,
Go ahead,
hold on.
Tony, go ahead,
Hold on. Let everybody have a say. So let's start with Tony. Tony, you break this down. What's your thoughts on
So,
that?
what was the score between Liverpool and Newcastle last season in both games?
I can't remember, to be honest. I really can't think right now. I'm too
Because
old.
I'm gonna tell you for nothing, Liverpool. I don't see anybody upsetting the top four right now. I don't see the top four getting worse. I think Liverpool are going to improve. They certainly won't be having as terrible a start to the season as they did last year. But
Definitely not.
personally, I expect Newcastle to strengthen.
No, Newcastle will strengthen. Liverpool are also going to strengthen during the summer. Yeah.
Who's going to strengthen better? Who do you expect? Who's got more money, Newcastle or Liverpool?
Something tells me Newcastle are going to give it a run in Europe, man.
Newcastle will buy players, but we'll have to see which players go there, and what their tactics are when they're looking at players. Because I doubt they're going to just go and just buy all these expensive players who don't fit into the jigsaw.
They are amazing with recruitment, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll buy the right players.
Seriously.
It's just like when Liverpool were buying players and they were bringing players in, they weren't getting the top players. They were getting players that fit their system, and that's why we did so well.
And they've
Yeah.
also got a manager that can get the best out of players. You can see what
Klopp-
Eddie Howe's done with Joe Linton as well.
Eddie Howe has done great, because when you look at the season before, they were struggling the season before. Yeah, he's come in and look what he's done with the team.
Relegation.
Exactly, he's done well. He's done well, but we'll have to see. The big difference will be this summer window.
Money.
Who comes in? Yeah, who comes in, and whether those players are good enough to actually change the way that team is playing. Yeah, simple. But anyway, go on. Who else? Who else?
Let's go to Trevor.
I think it's key as well, specifically for Man City and Liverpool to strengthen more than the rest of anybody else. Why? Because I feel like they've got the most experienced and they've got the best managers in the league. So I feel like just by having Pep and Klopp, Liverpool and City are just that bit further. That because I think they have a better manager than Ten Hag, they have a better manager than De Zerbi, they have a better manager than Eddie Howe, and I think they're better than Arteta. So I feel like Man City don't have to recruit that much. We already know that, because if they have Haaland, they have Alvarez now. It's kind of like they spend ready for like the next 2-3 years. So, and I feel like Calvin Phillips, he's going to get a bit more game time. I think he's going to get into the flow a bit now. I think they're going to get maybe 1-2 players, as you see in Kovacic as well. They're getting rid of Gundogan. I think that's a different option as well, as a 6 or maybe an 8. Like, I feel like they're gonna switch it up a bit, and I feel like they're gonna get one surprise player where everyone's like, whoa. You know, when they signed the Kanji, it was like, whoa. Like, I don't think anyone expected him to sign the Kanji, because it was like he went to Dortmund to like City that are challenging on all fronts. So I thought, and now look at the player he is. So I feel like it's down to Klopp, especially, to get the right recruitment, and the whole of Liverpool. Liverpool have to get the recruitment correct, because they can't afford another season like this. They cannot afford another season like this, and they know what they have to do to improve. So as Neil was saying, to be fair, it's easy saying whatever we're saying now, but until it gets to September and we've seen who's signed who, that's what's going to put my head in a firm place of who's there. For me, I think it's open. I think this league, this year, it's been a whack league. City won, I think it was like 1 out of their 9 home games, out of the teams that are all in the European places. And that's a team that won the league 85. I think it was a whack league this year. I think it was a very whack league. It was just as bad as the COVID league. So I just feel like now everyone's going to improve. Everyone's going to really spend money. Chelsea got a good manager in place as well. I think they're not going. I don't think they're going to challenge straight away, but I feel like they're going to get a bit of oomph now. They're going to get a bit rolling. Man United, you already know what they do. They're going to get rolling. Arsenal need to invest if we're going to do anything, and I feel like Newcastle as well. They could, as Neil was saying, they could probably be the most likely, if we're going to say now, out of the top 4 that will drop out. But I feel like if the only reason they will weaken and they will get a bit lay in the league is because I think they're gonna challenge for Europe. I think like Europe, they're gonna give it a real go.
Okay, let's go to Tony before we go to Drew and Bertram. Tony.
So very quickly, so I asked the question: who did better out of Newcastle and Liverpool in their respective fixtures? I think Newcastle did slightly better. I'm gonna say this. I think Liverpool have a problem in that the areas of the pitch that they need to develop are too many for them to make a run at the top 4. I think Newcastle don't need as much. I think they just basically need to add volume to their squad. I mean, it's like looking at Arsenal's first 11 will probably beat Liverpool's first 11 right now. But Arsenal's team overall needs additional numbers to complete for a complete season, especially with Champions League football. Newcastle are, to me, currently sitting in a much better place than Liverpool, and they're like Arsenal in that they need numbers in order to compete for the full season, especially with Champions League.
So the question really to Drew and Bertram is twofold, really. Obviously, we're talking about will Liverpool get into the top 4? These are the bookies' numbers here. But I think for you two, my question is slightly different. Who's going to be the dark horse? And I'll tell you why. Because Chelsea is going to take a long time to sort that squad out. Remember, the stakes are so high now with where Arsenal and Manchester City are, and Liverpool, if they can make it back, that standard is way above, and I'm talking about 20 to 25 league points. That's a huge, massive gulf of a gap. So who are the dark horses here? Tottenham, well, they're a mess. Brighton, I would say so, but then people are going to they're going to lose 2 or 3 players this summer, which is really going to hurt them, but their recruitment is gold. So Aston Villa is probably going to be the team. I mean, Ollie Watkins, I don't think anyone's going to come in for him this summer. I don't think they're going to lose much, but then they will gain. So the dark horse for me is probably going to be out of those 2. What's your thoughts on that? And obviously, the top 4 stay. I'll go with you, Drew, first.
Can I just address one thing first? It's the Man City not having a great record against teams in the top 8 last season. On that list of top 8 teams there, the only team we didn't beat on that list at home is Tottenham.
You never beat Tottenham.
Yeah, we ain't beating Tottenham, but we don't care because they're not a frat. But if we're looking for a dark horse, so next season to join the top 4, I mean Chelsea should be a top 4 team. They should be, and adding Pochettino to the
they're not really a dark horse,
I think
though,
he
are
gets
they?
the rest.
They're not really a dark horse, though, are they? Really?
Well,
No, that's the thing. They should be
horse.
there. I think Newcastle are actually a dark horse to challenge for the title potentially.
Exactly.
If they recruit correctly. To make the top 4 interesting, I'd say the dark horse would be Brighton. I don't think they're going to lose as much as what we think they are, to be honest. So I think a full pre-season under the derby as well. I think they will have just as good a season as this year, if not slightly better.
What about you, Bertrand? Because look, yeah, McAllister desperately wants to go. Casado signed the extension with the intention that they would let him go, but you know how these things work. Harry Kane, you know how these things work. So what's your thoughts, Bertrand?
So I am shocked to hear people think that Newcastle will make top 4. The Premier League is about money, like any other league, whether it's La Liga or Bayern. Whoever have the most money eventually end up on top. Man U still have the most money through the commercial activities, then Chelsea, then Man City. Newcastle has much more money than all those teams combined, frankly. So if they decide to spend money and fake it to say they have shirt sponsors when it's them, or they have this sponsorship, they can do it like City did and fake what sponsorship you have to get money to their clubs. They get Champions League money. They're getting shirt money. They have a $60 million, a $30 million, $60 million sponsor this year. They're gonna have 200 million plus in their war chest. That's what they want to put in and run a deficit for a few years to increase that number. They're going after Osimhen, for Christ's sake, who's 150, 140 million, and they already have Callum Wilson and Isak. So who thinks they're not going to strengthen? They're going to do what City does, which is have two squads that can compete because they're not in Champions League. That's what they're going to do. They're starting to buy young players from different parts of the world. They bought the Australian kid. They bought the kid from Africa who were like 19, 20 years old to bring them into their team and be part of that whole equation. And they have the most money. So eventually they're going to be champions. It's inevitable because you have the most money and you're going to generate enough income to substantiate that. You can spend it on FFP. You're going to eventually be able to compete with City. City is way ahead of everyone else. I'm encouraged by us because we have a young squad. So if we can sign them, which is going to blow to our payroll, which is starting to happen, we can sign Saliba and he can stay healthy, and we can reinforce our team, we can compete. But top four will be much more difficult next year than it was this year, just because we have Pochettino coming to Chelsea. He'll sort them out. Newcastle have more money to spend. Brighton and Villa won't be part of that top, and neither is Tottenham, frankly, can be part of that top six. And Liverpool is going to be challenged because if Liverpool can get newness to play as his potential suggests and fix their midfield and don't have injuries, they have a chance. But Trent can't defend. They don't have a center forward to score 25, 30 goals. Their midfield is a mess, and they don't have the money like the other teams do. They don't have money like we do, for frank's sake, because those hedge fund guys are not spending a ton of money to lose money. So it's going to be interesting to see how things materialize going forward. Arsenal will be in the top four race. So will Newcastle. So will City. So will... I'm not sure about Chelsea. I struggle with Chelsea. Man U will be there because they have money to spend, right? But it's a money league. So those who have money and can spend money can, if they recruit right, we have to get it right, have a chance to get there. And instead of dark horse, none of the top six teams historically should be deemed to be dark horse. Because we look at the rating in terms of what they're valued and what their money resources are, they have enough money to reinforce their squad, including Tottenham. I think Villa are going to be interesting because I rate Emery as a brilliant coach.
Yeah,
which is showing at Villa. He took over from Gerrard and look where he's got the team. They have some good young players. Holly Watkins is not old. Ramsey's not old. They need to strengthen their midfield somewhat, strengthen the defense somewhat, and add a couple wingers. A lot of money to spend. They have American owners who are ambitious, so we'll see what happens. But it's going to be a very, very interesting season.
So I'm going to lead this one with Drew because going into next season, really everybody is chasing Manchester City. That's just a fact. There's been publications that I've sent out to all of you guys, which is kind of a little bit for some fun, but it says, right, who's going to get second place? That's how, like, everyone's looking at it now. Sky, BBC is saying the race is on for second place because you just can't beat City. We just can't beat them at the moment. So, Drew, what is Manchester City's biggest target area for next season? Defense, midfield, wingers?
So, by looks of it, Laporte's on his way out. PSG's looking like the most likely place for him to go. Likely to be a 35 to 40 million transfer fee. But it's all right because we plan on bringing in Gvaradol from Leipzig.
Good signing.
I think that would be the signing of the summer, even though it's meant to be a £97 million buyout clause. I think that because of his age, what is he, 21?
Yeah,
that's a good value signing because he is only going to get better. Kovacic is a bit of a weird one, but needed because it does look like we are going to be losing Gundogan now. I think he will be leaving, which is a shame. But Kovacic is probably the nearest like-for-like replacement who has Premiership experience that you could bring in. I think we probably might look at another wide player though, because I think this might finally be the summer when we complete football that we actually sell Bernardo Silva.
You know what?
If Barcelona can scrape together a deal for it.
You know what? That's an excellent answer because that was my thought pattern as well. And the reason for that is you let go Raheem Sterling, you let go Jesus, and then you kind of hold Haaland up to this massive, platform of this, everything's going through him. And I thought at the first half of the season that you'd lost your way. I thought you was too dependent on him. And as the season went on, Pep was able to adapt the team to be a little bit more rounder in terms of their shape rather than too narrow and cohesive.
Well,
And
it seemed like becoming more rigid with an actual centre forward. We went into a more rigid formation, but all of a sudden we were playing more fluid football. And I mean, I've enjoyed the winning over the past few years. I genuinely have. But it has not been the best football at times. Suffocating teams of 80% possession, yes, technically brilliant, fantastic. It's not exciting to watch. When we go to Bayern Munich and take them apart with 4 different goals from very different angles and very different types, it was wonderful. It was an absolutely brilliant display, and we only had 51% of the ball. So we didn't just run roughshod over Bayern Munich. We actually let them have the ball. They took it to us for a lot of the time. And it was one of the more entertaining City games of the past 6 or 7 years. So it was the same with the Real Madrid tie as well. It was better football without us dominating a team. It was just nice to actually see exciting football with 2 teams playing the game. Because so often in the Guardiola reign, it hasn't been that. It's been, we'll have the ball. You can just watch us pass it laterally until we want to have an attack. So it's been fun on that front. Although I do fear if we sign players like Gvaradol as well this summer, I think it's going to go back to a more dominant, high possession game again from City next season. So losing Laporte isn't a huge loss if we're replacing him with someone potentially better.
Agreed.
And
So
I think he is.
So would you guys all agree with that as well? Wide players for City seems to be the consensus here.
It's only on the right because of Mahrez's age and Bernardo
32.
Yeah. Let's face it, we need to let Bernardo leave if we win the Champions League. But that's only going to happen if Barcelona can actually, let's say, activate some mechanisms, is what they like to say, isn't it? So
this brings me. This is the last question that I have on my side for tonight, guys. We've been able to get an hour out of this, so it's been pretty good. The last question that I have is, how much money do you think Saliba is worth per week? So 2 things here. Arsenal offered him 100. He's currently making 30 grand a week. Arsenal's offered him 120 grand, so they've quadrupled his salary. The player wants 200,000 a week. I got to be honest. If you lose this guy, and he's got 1 year left on his deal,
Give him 220.
so it's one of those things that if he doesn't agree to a deal within a certain point, they're going to have to sell him, because then you risk him walking into another team next year for free, and that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, but you guys have your wage structure, and you kind of stick to your wage structure, right?
That's
well,
ridiculous.
not necessarily, because we
No,
broke
we
that.
don't.
We broke
No,
that
we
wage
don't.
structure
That's
for
ridiculous.
Martinelli initially. So you're probably not aware, but Martinelli is on 180 grand a week, and he's 21 years old. That is 100 grand a week more than what the sustainability model shows. So look, Arsenal have broken out of this model. They are doing whatever they need to do to win. Saka on 250 grand a week, 300 grand a week with incentives, shows you how much because they would have never ever done anything like that. Nketiah's on 100 grand a week on a free contract. It was Nelson's contract is probably going to be around the 60,000 mark. So it's going to be one of those things. But Saliba, who shall I go? Let's go to Trevor on this first. Let's go to T on this first. How much do you think Saliba is worth? Because if they lose him, Trevor, forget any admirations for top 4 next season.
I just think, why is this even a conversation? Give the kid the money and let's get on with the season. Why is this a conversation? Like, honestly, I don't understand. I think Arsenal are the only team that do all of this. Like, why do we just always prolong transfers, wages? Why do we always prolong it? No other team prolongs it the way Arsenal prolong it. No other team.
I have to agree with Trevor on that one.
And honestly, listen, you can see it's evident. You take the kid out of the team's crippled. Like, give the kid the money, because at the end of the day, it's a cheaper option. Arsenal like being cheap and cheerful. So it's cheaper than letting this kid run it down, letting him go for free, or getting how much we'll probably get for him on a year. He'll go PSG, win numerous titles and become a World Cup winning centre-back, because that's his ceiling. That is his ceiling. So I don't know what we're trying to do. Like, I just think they should give him the money and let's keep it rolling. Keep it on a positive note. All of the stalling on Saliba and keeping the fans waiting, knowing he's got a year waiting, like, that's not positive. That's not putting us in the right direction. Especially how the season's ended, they should be making more positive moves, especially like tying him down. He should have been the first, if anything. Okay, well, Saka, I believe Saka should have been the first. I do believe Saka's worth the money. You can see with him, take him out of the team, you can see a difference. I think that's the way to value a player out of the money as well. If you take him out of the team, what's the difference? What does he do? What's the effect of that? Is that 200 grand worth the effect than letting him run it down and us going? Who's better than him, by the way? Who are we gonna get for cheap? Because we're not going 80 million on a defender. For Fafana.
That's what I said. Yeah, I said that we had a podcast on Wednesday, and I said to the guys that I was with, La African Guna, Vincey, I said to Gary and the guys, I said, name me a better. This guy on the Premier League's first 11 for last season, he's first on the team sheet in defense. He's the number one choice as centre back in the Premier League's first 11. And I've just put up a list here to show you that the 10 there's 8 highest paid defenders in the world. So what you're essentially doing is putting him in a class 200 grand a week of Sergio Ramos, Van Dijk, and DT. You know, Gerard Piqué, you're putting him in that class, but he deserves to be there.
He deserves it. Listen, you know how the game is rolling now. The game is new gen, is changing. You know, it's money based. Younger kids are getting. Look how much Mbappe's getting. Look how much Haaland's getting. Are they worth the money? Yes. Pay the kid the money. Is he worth the money? Yes. Like, and at the end of the day, it's like we can pull up all the statistics we want, but watch the kid play. Football is just watch the kid play. Like, he's so cool, calm, and collected, and he's way above his time. He is way above his time. He plays like he's been in a World Cup squad, won it all. He's confident on the ball. He's confident long range. He's confident under pressure. He's confident getting physical. He's technical. You're not gonna get better than him. Just sign him, man. This is long. Honestly.
As I once said to Tony, and I've always been very subjective with Saliba, because I want to see it happen with him. Tony's always been a massive, huge fan. I like the player. I've watched him from Saint Etienne, but I was on the camp that he may never play for Arsenal ever. And then he came in and proved to Arteta that he belongs there by winning Young Player of the Year in France. And this is something Balogun has to do. And if Balogun can't show Arteta, and it's different levels here because Lacazette just scored like 30-odd goals in France again. So it's a different level league. But Balogun, if he doesn't come here and shows Arteta what he can do, then he doesn't deserve. You're not giving somebody a position just because they've asked for it. You've got to earn it. And Saliba earned it. He came in the summer. He was top tip shape. Went and played in preseason, but most importantly in practice. You've got to do it in practice because it doesn't count for nothing on the match weekends. If you don't do it in practice, you ain't getting picked. And that's the way how it's always been. And Saliba has done everything under the carpet, quiet, got on with his business. Balogun has to do the same. So, yeah, I think it's favourable to say that regardless of what anybody thinks, he is a top 5 centre-back in the world. Yep. And I would argue with anybody about that.
Yeah.
Tony?
Yeah, I mean, you said it already. I'm pretty much Saliba's biggest fan. You know, I was on every game he played for Marseille, reporting and telling you how well this kid was going to be. And then obviously he comes in and he delivers. And he was my vote for Young Player of the Season. by a country mile. By a country mile. So, you know, pay whatever it takes. I mean, I appreciate exactly what you're saying, T. In terms of us prolonging stuff and doing things the long way, this is why I hate transfer window period. Because I literally cannot stand the procrastination. When I'm seeing teams around me are doing business before the window's even open, and I'm like, well, just do the fucking, excuse my French, the business. You know, get on,
pay the money.
sign the player, so we know. I'm going to see this team in literally, what is it, 5 weeks. Yeah, 5 weeks from now, I'm at a preseason friendly. Who are you going to see?
Keep hoping.
Why am I
keep
paying
hoping.
$150 to see a team in a wonderful stadium against the current La Liga champions when I don't know who's going to be playing? So get some business done early so that the fans can be enthused and we can understand your intentions.
Yeah, Neil and Drew is obviously you've played against him for a few games. Drew only won; he wasn't there in the second game. But what's your thoughts? How much money do you think he's worth per week? And how do you see him in the Premier League pecking order?
I'll be very honest. Oh, sorry.
Go on. No, I was going to say, do you know what? I agree with what you guys are saying. Pay him what you think he's worth. Yeah. But the thing is, you've also got to look at football's a business. And for whatever reason is the guys running the business seem to think they know what's best. Yeah, they don't get on with the business. They like to delay. And then they have their reasons to. We will never know what those reasons are because we look at them and we kind of think, well, why don't you just pay the money? It makes sense to pay the money. But they have their own reasons. And unfortunately, that's the business of football. Yeah. These guys at the top think they're it. You know, nothing goes through them. You know, this player is only worth what they think he's worth. And that's what we're dealing with the guys at the top. And that's what they're like.
I'm gonna caveat that question because I don't think the guys at the top decide who gets paid what. I don't think Stan Kroenke sits in his office and thinks, "Oh, I think Saliba should get 120, but I'm willing to pay Saka 250."
Yeah, that's not his.
They don't even watch them play. They don't even watch them play.
It's not his remit.
Stan doesn't.
Who's in charge of that?
Joss is in charge, and Joss
Vinay and Edu.
Right.
Yeah,
So they have reasons why not to pay or to drag it out. We don't know what those reasons are unless you guys sit down and actually ask them. You're not going to know. You just the way you look at it as fans, you look, well, it doesn't make sense because this he's got it all. He's doing it all. Yeah, without him, we will suffer a lot. And from a fan's point of view, you will say, yes, pay the money. Right. And I agree with you. Pay the man money that puts him on the same levels as all the other top great defenders. That's my view. But I'm not running it. We're not running it. Yeah. You've got the people who are running it and they think differently. And that's why you see loads of players running their contract down and then going on a free because they're not going to get what these guys who should know what they want, they're not going to get it. Yeah. To us as fans, it makes no sense. But to those guys, it's making plenty sense.
Yeah.
And it's about business. It's all about business. And unfortunately, and that's what I say to you guys. Football is business first, football second. And it's been like that for over a decade.
Yeah, Arsene Wenger 20 years ago said that this was going to happen and no one believed him. He said, we are going to get to the stage in the next 20 years where players are going to be on free deals and they're going to walk into any teams they want, just like the NBA and the NFL.
Because the people who are in charge of what these guys are worth, as in what you pay them, they think differently to the way we think because they're thinking from a business point of view. That's cash that's going out that they're probably in their mind think we could put this money towards something else. Let's delay it. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, and at the same time, they're also thinking that because this player is good and he wants to play for Arsenal, yeah, he'll stay quiet and he'll take what they tell him. You know, we know some players don't do that. Some players rebel. Yeah, some players force transfers through because they get treated like that, which is crap. But I can't answer for these people. I just know what they do isn't right.
Yeah, before I go to you, Drew, let's hear from Bertram. Bertram's having some problems with his computer at the moment, so I don't want to lose him again. Yeah, Bertram, your thoughts on this? The thing about it, Bertram, is players want you to show them love, right? I don't think 120 grand a week is showing him any love.
If you're Saliba, it's not smart to sign the contract. If you're Arsenal, you pay Saliba what you think he's worth. If you're paying Saka 250 and you're paying him 120, you're saying Saka is twice as much valuable as him to the team, while his loss this year suggests otherwise. Right? Him not being the team suggests otherwise. Because he probably had one so-so game or 1.5 so-so game. I think the Villa game was a challenging game for him and Watson scored, but for most part, and he allowed you to play the system you want to play, which you couldn't do with anyone else. If you're Saliba, why would you sign the contract? It makes no sense. You're a £100 million player. You decide to leave. You get a sign-on fee of maybe 40 plus if you want. It could be spread over a 4-year period because you're going to get 250, 300. Arsenal's only going to give you 200. Your agent's not going to get a ton like they're going to get when you leave. So why would the agent encourage him to sign? Why would he sign? It makes no sense. But I would love him to sign, obviously, because I'm a fan of the team. But on a business sense, the kid shouldn't sign. And they should have given the 200 way back in January or last year sometime because they could have seen the potential. And frankly, he has a gripe with the team because at one point he wasn't in the squad. Between September and January, he wasn't playing any football. Because left him with the Europa squad. He wasn't the Arsenal team. He was in limbo. So if you're the kid and you've set up on loan 3 times and now you come back, you think they're underpaying you, you may walk away thinking they don't value me as much as I think they should.
Drew, let's go to you and then we go to Trev afterwards.
So, right. On the one hand, Saliba is worth an absolute ton of money. I think he's a £200,000 a week player easily. I think the only better defender in the Premiership at the moment is probably Ruben Dias. But then you also have to take into account Ruben Dias is playing in a settled team with higher quality players around him, which does improve him. I mean, the age isn't... I mean, Ruben Dias is what, 25 now, 26? So we think of him as old because he looks old as shit. But he's not as old as what we think. But
sure,
part of me would like to see Saliba out of the Premiership because that's good news for teams like Man City. But I'd also like to see a player get given the value he is and not walk off to a team like PSG, which I just rate as a footballing graveyard, especially for a player of that kind of talent. Now, Ruben Dias signed a new deal in January that put him on 230. I don't think there's a huge difference between Saliba and Dias in terms of ability. So if I was Saliba, realistically, I would be looking for a 200-plus contract that could be renegotiated 24 months down the line. Maybe get more at that point as well. But anything below 150, the way football is at the moment, when we are talking about... I mean, I don't agree that he's top 5 in the world at the moment. Not yet. But I do believe that he's top 10 quality in the world at the moment. The only better player in his age group is the guy that City are going after from Leipzig.
All right, quick. Sorry, Drew, quickly. You said you don't think he's top 5. You don't think he's top 5 in the world, but the Premier League is the best league in the world and the most competitive league in the world, and you said he's top 2 in that league. So how is he not top 5 in the world?
We don't have the best centre-backs in the world in the Premier League.
Okay.
We have the most committed defenders. We've definitely got the most committed defenders in the world. And there are a lot of players, remember, that do go to France and do go to Spain for paychecks.
So what would your top 5
be? Hey, Drew, please name me 4 better players in the
world. I
was
just about to say that. So what's your top 5?
Please name me 4 better players.
Top 5 centre-backs in the world at this moment in time?
Yeah, in Europe. Right.
In Europe. So we got Dias. I would go for Gvaradol.
Matthias De Ligt is the most expensive paid at 400.
I would say
It should be an easy decision.
Because you only named one so far that I agree with.
This
Keep
should
going.
only be an easy. This should be an easy decision.
Look at Tony's face.
He
Listen,
named two. He named two. I agree with. But that's all he said.
Yeah, no, it's one of those questions now where I'm actually thinking about it more, and it's like, all right, you might have a point.
Yeah, I think.
And by the
Bearing
way,
in mind,
is the Premier League- by the way-
Saliba already has European experience.
Oh, I would
By the
also.
way, is the
No,
Premier- hey, Drew?
I'd actually put Alaba in there as well, actually,
Hey, Drew is
just
the Premier League
because
team
he
of the
has been
season.
there and
Drew.
done that.
Hey, Drew, his first season back, even though injured, is the Premier League team of the season. It says everything at 21. Be the PL team of the season, playing your first season in the PL, and you're 21 years old.
Well,
You
it
gotta get
is
paid
just
200
more
plus.
evidence, and he deserves the big contract.
Yes,
I
you
don't
go. You're
disagree
right
with
about
this
that.
of
There you
him.
go.
He
There you
deserves
go.
a massive contract.
And he's top
I've
5 in
said
the
he
world. Yeah?
deserves 200 grand plus a week.
Yes. No, you did say that. You did say that.
Yeah,
But
Trevor.
But I'm
Did you?
saying there's not 5 better centre backs in the world than Saliba. There isn't.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, Trevor, did you need to say something, or did you say what you already
Yeah, I
needed
just wanted to touch on as well, like small, like it's. I think as I was saying, like with how the game is changing and the generations are changing as well. I feel like players now are definitely getting more emotional and more like emotionally attached to the game. So like when Neil was saying about the businessmen and it's a business, they may not look at you as that much. And it's like players literally do nowadays sit down with their family and friends and say, yo, this guy's on like 100K and I'm better than him. Or I've been playing better than him. I've been solid for the team. You can see I'm out of the team. The team is crippled. Like he's literally gonna sit down and think, yo, Saka's more than me. They're valuing him more than me emotionally. That's the reason Mason Mount is leaving his childhood club, Chelsea, right now, because he doesn't feel valued. And these things, it touches with players. Bearing in mind, he lost his mum at the start of the season as well. Still carried on and still solid. So you need to give the kid the props. He's worth the money. In your job, in your workplace of work, you say the same thing as well. You can never tell me you sat down and said, "Oh, that guy makes more than me." This guy's a lazy guy, though. I work my arse off. Why does this guy make more than me? You can't, like, everyone's done it. If that happens in a day-to-day working life, of course that happens. This is at the end of the day, footballer. That's their job. They're getting paid to do what they do. Like, they're getting paid to give out a service, and their service is to play football. So I feel like you just got to pay him the wages he's worth, or he's gonna leave at the end of the day. So, and he'll go to somewhere where they will value him.
Yeah, Cameron's asked me if I've got any updates. Nothing different from what I said last week in terms that this isn't a camp that's not listening to Arsenal. This is a camp that's negotiating and communicating with them. The player himself, from what I've always been aware of, he's an Arsenal fan. He's been an Arsenal fan all his life. All he's wanted to do, and has reiterated that year on year on year, and also with his agent last week, he loves the club. And he's always wanted to play for Arsenal. So I know some people who are close sources to him are saying he's building a gym in his house and all of that stuff. He's having a new installation of the gym on Sunday this weekend. But that doesn't really say anything. It's like when they say players' wives are out shopping for new homes. They got enough money, they can buy a house anywhere. It don't mean you can go buy a house in Timbuktu. It don't mean you're going to go and play for the team. So no, but overall, I've actually heard good rumblings and positive. I think the word I can use is positive, rather than negative. Rather than him being unhappy, he's not unhappy. He's very happy where he is. Rather than his camp not talking to us, they are talking and are very vocal. So all the signs look good. But at the end of the day, I think we've all pretty much covered it. That this is down to the guy's last year, and I think he can hold Arsenal to ransom and ask whatever he wants. Let's just focus and see what happened with Ashley Cole. Look what happened with Ashley Cole. We lost him because of £5,000 a week. Yeah, but we're not that same team. So I expect something's going to change soon. It's good to see you, Philip. Philip saying footballers are businessmen who play the game. Being a fan is irrelevant. Yeah, look,
100%.
you know when
I say that as well.
you know when I learned that, Philip, when Portsmouth was going down into liquidation, and Sol Campbell took them to court for money, unpaid money. This team was being rolled out of court into liquidation. Sol Campbell said, "I don't care. I want my money. I don't tell you, look, That's fine. You could drop off the edge of the earth for all I care. I want my money. Yeah.
It's
He
business,
said,
man. That's business.
yeah, man said, bitch better have my money. He did not care. Yeah, so man. Yeah. So
My
that's
concern is that the payroll is going to be very bloated. We have so many young, good players. You just think about the entire team, the start 11. Each of them going to be making, there'll be nobody under 100 plus K come next year. And some are going to be 2 plus, 300 plus. It's going to be a significant increase in the payroll, given this year's performance.
Football's the
So the
only
question
sport you
is-
can see bang average guys on 100K a week.
Yeah.
And then imagine
So-
if you add these two killers into the mix.
You're not getting both of them,
And that's
man. We're not
300
getting-
and
we're not getting
200.
both of
That's
them.
$500,000 a week right there.
We're not getting both of them,
$500,000 a
man.
week.
So, guys, the one thing that I do want to say on that is the current money in the league is being dictated heavily by the Sky Sports contract. The contract was supposed to be up, but it happened during COVID. So the agreement at that time, there was a lot of crap going on there, but the agreement was that they was just going to extend the 5.1 million deal and keep it as it is. At the point that happened, 2021, everyone thought, including myself, it would go somewhere around the 8 billion mark, which means the teams at the moment have an innate 94.1 million, and then they make another 20-25 million on TV appearances. So teams can pretty much make 120 million a year. The new deal would have put teams earning around 180 or 90 million a year. That's a huge increase. That's a massive increase. But that hasn't happened yet and probably will not until 2025. So it stays as it is at the moment. The problem is the growth is outweighing the deal. That's where we are right now. Yeah.
Okay, but let's work this one out. Yeah. Let's just say, if you're doing all that math, then how is it that Chelsea are still interested in this deal?
Well, I think we covered that last year, didn't we, Tony? Where they said they're stretching the contracts over multiple years.
Yeah,
and all it does is it gets you into the trouble that Liverpool on a lower level did this 5 years ago, and then they ended up with 2 summers where they couldn't buy any players at all. The impact of what Chelsea's doing essentially is going to be worse because you've tied all that money into your cap over multiple years that you stand to have 4 or 5 years where you cannot get any money at all. It's a smart way of doing it, but it's really a stupid way of doing it because no accountant would run their business like that. It's just impossible because if they've got all these players, say if they don't work, say if Mudrik's a flop, they play 10 million for what's his name from Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, but that's why Chelsea did it though. But that's why Chelsea did it though, right?
Yeah.
They bought all these players thinking that they're not going to have to buy players or as many players over the next few seasons because they already have them.
That's right. Yeah.
That was obviously a business decision, right? And it's a good business decision to get past FFP. But has it really helped? Yeah, but I'm just saying, has it really helped them this season?
No,
not really.
Well,
Look where they ended up.
Look, he made some mistakes, but you guys got to take a step back and don't listen to English media about Todd Bowley being an idiot. You don't become a private equity guy making billions of dollars when you're an idiot. That makes no sense. That's contrary to reality.
He just doesn't know.
But guys, football is a business. He's running a business. It's not about players. He made mistakes on players. What he did was this: if I have 100 million pounds, right, I buy a player for 100 million pounds. If I advertise over 5 years, I got to put 20 million pounds on my financials every year, which counts towards FFP. If I do it over 80 years, I'm putting what? 12 point something? That's an 8 million pound difference in every given year going forward. It's not a stupid concept.
No, but that's a business decision over a football decision. Yeah, because we all know the players that he's brought in. Yeah, but the players that he's brought in clearly aren't the right players. So has he spent wisely? That's the question.
Guys. No, one thing. Guys, every club have hit and miss players. We bought Vieira, we bought Kiwior, we bought a bunch of players who may not work out also, right? They bought too many players. They'll bring the squad down. All those players can be sold for good money. Mount is going to bring in 60 mil. What's his name? The kid is going to Man City, going to bring in 35 mil. They're going to get money back. And it's all on their book at 100% versus 1/8 of the number on the liability side. Net, they're in a good position. You will see the year from now that the English media have no idea what they're talking about.
So being a good businessman, Bertram, doesn't mean that you're a good sports owner. Dan Snyder, Washington, Simon Jordan, Crystal Palace, Mike Ashley, Newcastle. We can go through a trailer load of guys who lost money. So at the moment, all of us here are still in the middle when it comes to, I'm doing a Tony Cox right now. Yeah, there's the wavy hand, everybody. Yeah, because we don't know the truth. Yeah, the truth is we don't know what Todd Bowley means. And that's why it was one of the questions that was a big question at the beginning of last season. How is Chelsea's new ownership going to change them? That was something we covered here tonight. And we don't know. We really don't know, guys.
Apollo, Man City owners are not good business people. Abramovich, they're not business people. They're buying goodwill on the Man City side. Abramovich didn't care. He was spending money that he didn't earn in the first place. The only good business could say is like Man United will make money through their commercial deals. I think we're confusing. We're conflating a lot of things, which doesn't really align. The end of the day, what Bowley did was, you know what? I'm gonna buy some of the. I'm gonna get an inventory of great players, very good players, bring them in that the coach sorted out. It wasn't the right approach to take because end of the day, you have 40-something players when you only need 28, 25, 30. The coach couldn't manage that inventory of players. They'll sort it out. It'd be a better situation come next year when they sort out the players and the finances will be okay because they'll sell a bunch of players more than what Arsenal sell our players for. We buy high and sell low. We shouldn't criticize anybody about selling assets. We buy high and sell low.
It's so true.
You're going to put themselves in the same position because you're not going to be selling Mudryk in 8 years and covering the cost that you've just put out on him over the 8 years of his contract. They might have spread the contract.
Drew, you don't know that, Drew.
Years time. Eh?
Drew, you don't know that, Drew. You're prognosticating now. You don't know that. The kid
in 8 years' time, Mudryk will be how old? In 8 years' time, Mudryk will be 29.
And Drew, he will not run his contract down like Saliba does, Drew.
He could be sold before that, though.
Exactly.
Oh, he could be. He could be.
He could be the next greatest thing in 3-4 years and decide Chelsea's not the place I want to be. Real Madrid is the place I want to be.
Well, that's tough for him because he's stuck on a contract with
his contract expiring, right? Like Saliba. They can sell him without worrying about his contract expiring and then have to sell him at a fire sale.
I don't think Todd Bowley is stupid, by the way. I think Todd Bowley is doing what so many American owners of sports franchises do. But will it work in football? And I don't think it will. Offsetting costs to pay them another day.
He's just ill-advised. He's just very, very
hold on, guys. Hold on. Hold on.
One at a time, gents. One at a time.
I'm sorry. The Glazers buy Man U for £300 million, and all the English people complain about Man U and what they do or don't do. You're going to sell it for $5 billion. What's the return on their money? Huh? 15 times the number? You get a 15 times return.
I'm just going to point out, I've not complained once about United becoming a laughing stock.
No, I'm giving you an example. So they pay $2.5 billion for Chelsea. In 5 years, it's going to be worth $5 billion. Apollo says it's going to go from $5 billion revenues to $8 billion in revenues. Right?
Yeah.
Guys, come on, do the math. The math is about appreciation of the asset. Not about the income.
This is what I mean, though. He is a good businessman. He will make money on his investment. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly.
Will he rip the heart and soul out of his club, though?
This is Apollo's time because Washington Redskins and the Commanders, he bought the team for $800 million 20 years ago and sold it for $6 billion. The worst owner who drove his team into the ground. Business. It's business, bro.
Yeah. And let's not forget, guys, that Stan Kroenke is not the greatest of flavors around Arsenal. Yet he continues investing heavily every year.
His son does, yeah, but yeah.
He won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago as well.
Not enough.
He's going to win an NBA title this year.
Not enough. Not
Yeah.
enough.
Denver Nuggets, man, he's gonna probably win an NBA. That's gonna be
Did you hear?
crazy.
I think
Did you hear
he's
their
getting
value went up by
older.
$2 billion?
Yeah, I think he's getting older, and he's basically saying, you know what, I need to start winning now. So whether it's Denver, whether it's his LA team, whether it's Arsenal, he started to invest more in his sports team. America is a little bit easier. You don't get relegated. You don't have to kill yourself, right? You're gonna make money in America. It's not the same in the UK. You can get relegated. We then destroy the value of your assets. So.
Hey, who doesn't follow American football here? Trevor? Yeah, Neil, Trevor. Do you know how bad it got in Washington? That the away fans had a higher attendance than the home fans at
Yeah, I
home.
heard about that. Yeah,
Yeah?
I heard about that.
That's how bad.
That's a
how
great
bad-
advertisement for your sport, right?
Yeah, that's how bad this owner, everybody, including the pundits, the media, the newspaper writers, everyone wanted this guy out of town.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Knicks
Wow.
have a once in 73, and it's a sold out every single game. So it gives you a view as to how that works.
Mad. All right, guys, is there anything else you want to cover tonight before we close down?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions that Trevor had posted at me earlier. I'm just posting it in now so that people can see what they are.
Gents, it's only 11:30. We normally go on longer than this.
Yeah, and the season one. I've got a bottle of rum. I can do this till 1. You know.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's the end of the season, man. There's a lot to talk about.
Okay,
I've already
so
seen my
Trevor's
wife.
question.
It's good.
This relate.
Okay, this is mainly.
What is the
I
manager's
guess-
ceiling?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
this is aimed at mainly Arsenal fans, because you guys already know what your manager's ceilings are, to be fair. So I guess this is aimed at Arsenal fans. Like, what can he achieve? What is Mikel Arteta's ceiling? Because
Right,
you already know.
I'm
One
gonna
second.
answer.
I was gonna say
Sorry, go
quickly,
on.
because you know Pep's ceiling is everything. You already know Klopp's ceiling is everything as well. So what is Arteta's ceiling?
So first of all, I want to point out that he's been a manager for 3 years, and I think the most important things that we have to take from this is Pep Guardiola's been a manager for 16 years. Eddie Howe took over Bournemouth when he was 31, so Eddie Howe's got 15 years experience. Within 3 years, he's won the FA Cup. He's managed to go toe to toe with Man City. And dealt with a trailer load of injuries, 10 players out for an average of 2 months. That was the average, by the way. Which leads me on to this. What is his ceiling? So he's taken over this team that he loves. And his tactics, philosophies,
Loves?
has scored 88 goals, which is a franchise record. Let me repeat. No Arsenal team in history has scored more than Mikel Arteta. The second
What do
thing
you have to
is...
show for it?
It doesn't matter. You're asking me about his ceiling. What you got to show is the past. His ceiling is the future. So
Okay, cool. So what is the ceiling?
let's
Take all the
focus on-
statistics out. What is his ceiling? Like,
well,
what is his
the
ceiling?
statistics tells us a lot about him being his growth. Yeah.
So what is his
The
ceiling?
second, well, for me, the fact, look, he's come in, to a team which was absolutely shredded, and I'm not hiding the fact that this is probably the worst downturns that I've seen in decades. He's turned that around. Not just that, but for those of you who don't go to the games, he's created a new culture. That stadium, man. Oh, that stadium. It's a beautiful thing. And he done that. He did that. These are the things that people who don't go to games won't tell you. When he made his last speech at the end of the season, he couldn't even speak because the fans were in so much admiration for the change of culture that he's permitted against a team that was ripped from the core. He's had the second most highest points to the Invincibles and the best start in Premier League history. So what is his ceiling? I think I just said it. Bertrand?
So Arsenal spent the most money in the last 3 transfer windows.
Chelsea.
Arsenal
That's
spent
Chelsea.
the most money in the last 3 transfer windows.
That's Chelsea, bro.
278 million pounds. And we have not this year. We didn't make the last 8 of the Europa League. We didn't go nowhere in the League Cup, went nowhere in the FA Cup, and we bottled at the end of the season. So that's a pessimistic view, even though I'm happy with the season, how we made progress. We spent a ton of money with them spent under Wenger. Under any other manager, we spent much, much more money, right? So it's not a money issue for us, even though people want to knock Stan Kroenke about whether they spend money or not. So we have money to spend and we spent it. I don't know where Arteta's ceiling is. Pep struggled quite a bit throughout his career, even though he's won Champions League. He had Messi. He never won it with Bayern, and they won it after he left. And he didn't win it to date until he got Haaland, and he decided to play Walker where he should be played. So he decided not to tinker this year. Frankly, they didn't even change the team that played. He had made changes during the game. He decided to stay out of it and let it run because the players decided on the field versus interfering and messing it up. That's not even debatable. And he said Walker couldn't fit into his team. And then he had Walker playing the inverted. It couldn't play the inverted, but he still played him against Madrid because he realized that players decide this. So Arteta,
he realised that we had big injuries here in our defence, which is why.
But if he didn't play Walker, I would struggle with Vinicius Jr. It's not even debatable, and you did in years past. The issue is this, which is Arteta is a poor in-game manager, and if you want to match up with the best managers like a Klopp, who I think is a brilliant manager, you have to manage games, not just manage the concept of the team and what they do. You have to be able to manage games. How do I adjust when what I had prescribed previously doesn't materialize? He hasn't done that in any game this season. I have no idea what he's ceiling in. I think he has a good system. I think he and Pep talk every day, so they leverage each other and share ideas and they implement on the field. That's why they do the whole pressing and inverted. They're always doing the same thing strategic-wise. The reason why Man City destroy is because they just have better players and bigger players. They're technically as good as us, are better, and they're bigger than us. So they're going to beat you. If you do the same thing I do and I'm better than you, I'm going to beat you every single time, most times. What we need to do is go buy some better players and hope Arteta improves his in-game management capabilities. Because right now, it's atrocious. That's my 2 cents.
Tony,
you're mute, you look like.
That's a great response. I thought that was a very well put together argument. I can't really argue with that. I'm very interested to hear what people who look at Arsenal from the outside think about Arteta's ceiling. Neil, what do you say?
Do you know what, right? Do you know what? I have a lot of admiration for Arteta. I think that he's not given enough time because to become a great manager, you have to be, if you're going to be at a club, you have to be at a club and doing stuff more than 3 years, 3 seasons, 4 seasons. For me, you got to look at like maybe 5, 6 seasons before you actually see the true worth. Yeah, because there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change to do. There's lots of players to come in and out. You're going to have injuries and all that sort of stuff, right? As you said, compared to all the other managers, he hasn't really spent any time being a manager, right? And yet he's being classed and criticized against the top managers. Yeah, he's not being classed against managers who have spent that same amount of time managing. You're comparing him to top managers and expecting him to be exactly the same. He hasn't had the experience. You have to give the man time. Yeah, but the thing with fans is fans want success now. They don't care about next year or the next season. They want success now. And if they don't get the success now, the manager is rubbish. No, you have to give them time. It's just like players. You have to give the players time to bed into the team, especially foreign players who, a lot of them don't even speak English. Yeah, so they don't have that communication. You have to give them the time and the opportunities so they can improve like that. Because not everybody's the same where they can come in and they can learn English just like that. Some people have been here for years and they still can't speak English. Yeah, and you have to take all those sort of things into consideration, right? And for me, as I said, I don't think Arteta is a great manager, but he's on his way to being a great manager. And it's whether you Arsenal fans have the patience, for that to happen. If you haven't got the patience, you're always going to be slamming him down. And every time he makes a mistake, you're going to make it seem 10 times worse. Yeah, you lot have had a good season. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. You went toe to toe with City. How many other teams apart from Liverpool actually go toe to toe with City? Yeah.
And yeah,
And when you look where you guys were a few seasons ago, right? Come on, man.
I think
Give
the
the man
biggest
time.
thing, Neil, I think the biggest thing from me is the frustration is I have to sit here and listen to Arsenal fans talk about what an amazing job Unai Emery's done at Aston Villa, who's been a manager for 18 years, and how great Eddie Howe's been at Newcastle. But oh no, Arteta's this, that, and blah blah blah. And he's tactically there.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But he had. But you're comparing him to managers who've been around a lot longer.
Unai Emery's best season. How many points did we have? And how many points we have this season? Hey, Tony, don't make me start. I don't want to start.
No, Unai Emery's won 10 honours.
Unai Emery's best season and our season now. How many points do we have? This manager won this team. This manager won his only trophy with Unai Emery's team. He's got 21 new players. Yeah, he hasn't got it all right. As I said as well, and I do agree with Bertram as well. I think Arteta is an amazing coach, by the way. I think he's an amazing coach. I don't think he's a good manager. I think he's a great coach. I don't think you need
to give him time to get there.
How long though? How long are we gonna keep doing voluntary work? Like realistically, he's coming and he's done voluntary work for how many years? 3 coming up to 4 years. He's done voluntary work. Like this is.
But look at the place. Look at the managers you're comparing him to.
Be getting inexperienced managers and hoping, giving him everything he needs because I hope they give him everything he needs.
It's not hoping. The man is.
Guys, sorry, I have to draw the line because we're getting into silly land. We're getting into silly land here.
Can I just make one comment, please?
We talked about the manager's experience. Guys, do you know when Alex Ferguson became a manager? 1974. I was 6 years old.
Times have changed. Yeah? You know this, Apollo. Times have changed, though, man. You know.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, but remember, before United started winning, right?
He took over
Fergie
United
was on his way out of. He was on his way out of United before United started winning. And then what is it? Now? He's the greatest manager. Yeah,
he was a manager for 12 years.
Nobody ever talks bad about winners. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but a lot of managers.
You win.
Yeah,
you win.
He wasn't a winner.
Can I get a word in?
To start off with. He was on his way out of
We're in
United.
the AI age. We're in the AI age. We're not going back before internet talk about people who goes to
ChatGPT.
Literally, generational managers like.
Let me say this. If you're gonna start at the top, then you have start at the top expectations. If you want to have some sympathy about age, you can go manage Leicester City in the championship. Go manage the championship and earn your stripes. If you want to start, let's say talk about Saka. And Saka is young and I get frustrated. He's making $250 a year. How young can you? You're making $250 talk about the young? Like, what are you talking about? You're playing at the top of the league. You're as old as what the position entails. I'm not going to give you any allowance for your experience. Don't manage my team then. Well, managing League 1 and League 2 or in the championship. I'm sorry.
I say it.
This is big boy
Why
territory.
are we dropping our standards to the floor? We smashed down our stadium to compete with clubs that have been competing for the last 10 years and we ain't competed. Stop this, man. We're putting our standards on the floor.
I'm sorry. I'm not giving you a lot of experience.
Our standards are on the floor. We're out here saying we're waiting for managers to become great. Become great. It's been 19 years. About waiting for managers to be great. We have to wait more time. Why are we waiting more time? We've waited long enough. And we've been patient with Arteta. Nobody's been hounding him. I don't even hound him. I'm not Arteta out, by the way. I've not been hounding him.
Trev,
I didn't hound him.
But Trev, what you want is instant success.
Instant?
Instant?
Yeah. Instant? How long has it been since we won a league? Instant. How is it instant?
But it doesn't matter how long it's been since we won the league.
Let's have won the league.
Liverpool waited 20 years, and when they did, they created
why do you keep talking about back then? Why do you keep talking about back then?
Bro, it's not back then. It was 4 years ago. Liverpool won the league. They won it.
No. I'm saying before that.
Look at what they're winning now. Look at what they're winning now. Their standards are up here.
I have a question.
You think they can settle for less?
I have a question. What happened to Conte and Mourinho? Mourinho in the second term, the year after they won the league. What happened to them? In Mourinho's second term and Conte's first term, after they won the league at Chelsea, what happened to them the year afterwards? What happened to their team and what happened to them as managers?
Mourinho just threw away his runners-up medal. That's the mentality we need at this club. He just threw away his runners-up medal. He said second is not acceptable. That is what we got. We got to challenge for the best. And I understand what's up top.
Hang on a second.
The challenge, and I understand the process. Wait.
I understand. Fifth in the league. What runners up record?
He's finished 8th, 5th. He's finished 8th, 5th, and he's tallied up with Unai Emery's best season. Come on now, this is not voluntary work. This is not voluntary work.
All I'm saying to you, it's a shame you didn't get to see the last game of the season. It's just a shame that you. It's just
that
a shame
meaningful game, that
you
meaningless
wasn't in it.
game, that meaningless game. Anyway.
Trevor, I'm
I
not
thought that
talking
was
about
bad.
the game.
I'm all going silent.
Yeah.
And with this,
Yeah, Trevor,
I'm going silent.
Trevor, yeah, I'm not
I don't want
talking
to be the
about the
bad
game.
guy here. I'm going silent.
I'm
Right,
not
so
talking
you-
about
so
the
you're the
game.
half-
I'm talking
you're the half
about
glass
the fact
full.
that people went to the stadium to celebrate this season. That's what the whole last game was about. It wasn't about the game. It wasn't about the result. So let's not get it twisted. We stayed there for over an hour and a half after the game to celebrate this season, and it's a shame you wasn't there to see that.
Honestly, I respect the vibe and the feeling Arteta's brought back to the club. Honestly, but what I'm saying is, are you telling me if Arteta gets sacked today and for example, just example, what's just by my head, yeah, Diego Simeone comes in tomorrow, is that energy, is that vibe, is that togetherness gone? Arteta is not bigger than the club, so why are we giving this guy so much leeway? We sacked Unai Emery like that.
Do you want
to compete? Wait.
Hang on. Do you want Diego Simeone, who's won one?
I just gave an example.
But that example, here's what I can see with your example. Look at what Conte has done at Spurs, Tuchel done at Chelsea.
Let's give Diego Simeone a chance, and he's won one trophy.
How many has Arteta won?
One.
Major. He won the league. Simeone won the league.
Okay,
that's something Arteta hasn't done. And he won the league as an underdog. We're talking about underdogs. In that league,
multiple Champions League final. Multiple Champions League final, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, but listen. All of that is irrelevant. All of that's irrelevant because I gave one off my head. I just gave. Wait. No, you're taking that example too deep.
You named it.
Wait. But I said it because I was talking about the togetherness, the feel, the energy, because that's what Apollo was talking about as well.
Trevor,
but I was just saying.
Quick question: which manager would you choose right now to steer this ship to the Champions League final and as
I was saying to my cousin yesterday as well, I was talking about it, but I was like, it's so easy to talk now. As I said, let's see how ambitious this club wants to move, because we knew what was required last season, last transfer, and we didn't do what was required. We were how many points ahead in January? We knew what was required. We were dilly-daddling. We weren't trying to buy no players. Instead, we got Jorginho for experience. Fairs if you wanted to get him, but you get Caicedo and you get Jorginho. If you're trying to be ambitious and you move, football is a reactionary sport. So simple as nobody expected us to be at the top at the start. I get that. I hear that. Yeah, that's all great. But we were. Listen, at the time we were at the start, and you moved like a big club. Arsenal's not a tin pot club. Arsenal is a huge club. You move like that. You move like a big club. You move.
Is that Arteta's fault?
It's not. I didn't blame him though. But he's just no. But we spoke about this, Tony. But what is needed? They need to give him the tools. And if they're not going to give him the tools and he's not going to succeed, then he has to go. And you have to bring in a manager.
So what Bertram said is right. You have Manchester City with the same coach, probably the same level, but he has better resources to play the same system as Arteta.
I get that. But that's when you look at the ambitions of the club from up top. And we said it, Tony. We had the conversation when I was like, yo, so whose fault is it that we're not as ambitious as we're going?
So Trevor, let me jump in here. I don't agree with you on here's the thing. We're conflating two things. There is, do I spend a lot of money, and how well do I spend the money?
I was going to say that. I was going to say that.
And how much money do I bring back in? So our problem is this. We have bought poorly over the years. And when we liquidate our assets, we get nothing back. We give them away. We give away, what's his name?
It's been like that for years.
We give away the kid from Greece for nothing, and they end up costing much more money. We give away Ozil for nothing. Aubameyang for nothing. Lacazette for nothing.
Suarez for a pound. We're not serious.
Man City will sell Jesus for 50. We'll sell Zinchenko for 30-something. Their net spend is much more than our gross spend or net spend. So that's why we struggle. We don't get money back. So we spend a lot of money. I just mentioned to you, since August 2022. I shouldn't confuse 2023. Apollo's right. We spent 278 million in the previous 3 windows, not this last 2 windows, more than any other team in the Premier League. That means we spend money. We don't spend it wisely. Or do we get money back?
I get that as well, and I honestly agree as well. I definitely believe it's the way we're spending and the recruitment. Like, I definitely believe that is also key for us as well, and I think that's what's been failing us for years. But it's the ruthlessness as well. It's, as you said, it's how we're spending the money as well. So it's like we buy players, and we don't look at players that are going to elevate us to the next level. We buy players that are going to keep us stagnant. I'll be so real. We can go only recently, as I've said, 21 players.
Zinchenko's.
Let me ask you. I'm gonna cross your because I know you're saying Zinchenko and Gabby. Yeah, Drew, be so real. Yeah, if Pep Guardiola thought selling Gabby and Zinchenko to us was so dangerous, would he have done it?
That doesn't answer the question. You said we don't buy players to elevate us. I'm saying we bought after spending 130 million buying 6 kids. We then went and bought experienced players, and that elevated us from 8th to 2nd. Okay. You said, your words, not mine, you said that we don't buy players to elevate us. That doesn't make sense. I'm trying to see the logic.
100%. Okay, cool. I understand this, but I said recently, only recently we've gone and we've got players, and I still don't think that's the level. I get it, their squad players are whatever. That's still not the level we need to go for. We need to hit higher. You definitely need to hit higher than that. We can't be buying. We said City's the best club in the world. We're looking at Gundogan right now, which first to him, he's a great player. But why are we going for players that City are ready to get rid of? Do you think they are getting rid of them because they think would they let them come to Arsenal if they thought that? Yeah, 100%.
Gundogan to leave. Don't get that twisted. We do not want Gundogan to leave City. Unfortunately, he's 33 and he's looking for his last big payday. I'd be surprised if he ends up staying in England. I think he'll end up back in Dortmund, to be honest.
I think so as well. Go on, Tony.
Okay, so you kind of moved into your second question, so I'm going to put it up now.
Oh, I forgot there was a second question.
So we started talking position specific.
Yeah.
So if I may, I will tell you the positions I believe we need to look at. And it's very simple. I think we need a big striker. I think we need 2 midfielders. And I think we need a centre-back and or right-back.
Apollo?
Yeah, unfortunately, only Manchester City's got enough money to cover most of the areas in one summer transfer. But I think it's got to be the midfield, because the midfield is the heart and soul of the team. The midfield covers everything you do defensively and distributes and transitions everything you do offensively. And right now, the goalkeeper is top 3 in the league. Definitely England's best goalkeeper. The defense, when fit, and remember, there's a big difference because City hardly suffered any injuries this season. And Arsenal just had major injuries across the board. But for that reason, the cover is needed. We need one more good centre-back, but most definitely probably another left-back. I'm not so much worried about right-back for a couple of reasons, because we have a few players who can play there. But the midfield is just the problem, man. And not so much as a problem. I think Thomas Partey is elite. He's always been compared with Rodri, Casemiro throughout the whole season. And while he dropped off in the last 6 games, there were instances where those players are mentioned alongside with him, dropped off as well. Casemiro, for instance, had missed 7 games due to various red cards. And you can't allow that. You know, when you go for a title, you cannot allow a guy to miss 7 games due to injury. So for me, it would be the midfield, getting younger, getting faster, getting fresher, getting more dynamic. So that's what I would do. I'm not so much worried about the striking options, because we have plenty of them. We have more than enough. And there are, you know, when you look at the options, there's double-digit goals all across the board. You know, if you add up the amount of goals that Trossard has scored this season, that Jesus has scored this season, if you add up what Odegaard and Saka and Martinelli have scored, not even including Nketiah scored 9 goals this season. That's a lot of goals. And I believe they're the only team in Europe that have got 3 players that have scored 15 goals or something like that. It's a crazy stat that's out there. But it's the goals are coming from everywhere. So yes, it would be nice to have a big man, but if I'm going to lose the money I'm invested in the midfield to get a big man, no, because the midfield is more important to me. Get 2 big dogs, spend whatever you have to, get Saliba signed, and then I'm happy with the team.
What about you, Noel? Yeah, I think you're mute.
Oh, no, I'm not mute.
Yeah, no, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me now. So what? As in what you guys need?
You, no. You, Liverpool.
Liverpool. I've already said it. I said it time and time again.
Covered it already.
You guys know
Okay.
it's midfield. It's midfield. Once we can sort out decent players, better players than we already have in midfield, we're back again. We'll be back, and that's where we need to strengthen this summer.
Yeah. So Neil and Drew have already had those questions for their surrounding teams.
Oh, okay.
I think we need 8 players.
I think Bertram's right. You do need probably about 8 players, but I also think you need to have realistic expectations of the players.
Realistic, very realistic.
Let me go to my playlist first. Let me go to my list quickly. We need a right back. Tomiyasu is injury prone. Always been injury prone in Italy. He's still injury prone.
Don't think he's good enough, to be honest.
No, I think he's good enough defensively.
Ask Mo Salah.
About why you need a right back, right? Trent can't defend, but Trent is playing right back. We need a left back. Zinchenko can't defend. And what we need to defend in a game like against City, we need somebody who can defend because he can't defend. Brilliant on the ball, atrocious off the ball. We need a big center forward. When the ball's in, we don't cross ball in the air because somebody to hand the ball in the goal and to hold the ball up. We don't have that. We need 2 dominant, mobile midfielders. Whether it's Caicedo or Rice, we need 2 of them. We need a goalkeeper backup. I have no confidence in Turner. I'm sorry, and I know him. I see him play. Now I have confidence with him. We need as I said, we need a right back. So it is 8 players in. By the way, we need a right winger who can compete with Saka. Because Saka gets lost against the big teams. I don't see him against Man City in any game. He disappears. People say, well, he's a quiet game. No, Ake dominates him.
Yeah.
Centre half dominate him out there. We need a right winger with some size and some
pace
and go by people. We beat nobody on the wing. We beat them inside. We always go inside. We get on the wing because we don't have that speed, that force, that size to dominate. It's 8 players. And by the way, we're going to Champions League. This is not Europa League and take a game off. It's Champions League.
Go on, Tony, quickly.
Okay, so I also agree with 8 players because I can see, and I sent you my list, Trev, of the 12 players at the club that need to go, which include Turner, Tierney, Tavares, Holding, Mari, Elneny, Lokonga, Maitland-Niles, Xhaka, who we know is going, Patino, who's gone, Pepe, Jorginho, Smith-Rowe, potentially, and Nketiah, potentially, now that we're getting Balogun back. So with all those names going, because some of them just can't be kept, we do need at least 8 players.
And that's what I was gonna take and say to everyone, because 8 players is what we need, but it's realistically what is not gonna happen. That's like we know how Arsenal move. We know we're not gonna get 8 straight in a season. We know what's required.
Trevor, my understanding that we have 180 million to spend. We get 100 million plus. I don't know if it's net spend or gross spend, but if it's gross spend 180 plus get sales of 100 plus mil, we probably have about 300 mil to spend.
We always, but us as Arsenal fan, we always do that estimation. We always, even before the transfer season starts, we have 250, we have 200, we have 180. At the end of the day, we don't really know, and we can't keep doing this thing where we're picking on the next big thing or picking on, oh, he's gonna be great in 5-10 years. We have to go for the finished product, and we have to spend money. That's what's needed. That's what's required. And I feel like I agree as well. We need 8 players, but realistically, what I was gonna ask everyone is like, what was 3 players that realistically you want at the club? Because realistically, you know you're gonna get 3 players straight, solid. You're gonna spend that much money. What's realistically what 3 players for you is gonna take you from this season, you've been here, to next season, you're gonna be there. Whether that's progression in challenging, or whether that's for top 4 or whatever what three players, realistic players, that's the key word. What three realistic players do you think your team is going to sign that's going to take your team need to sign, that's going to take you from there to there?
So for
Caicedo,
me,
Rice, and Zaha.
So for me, it would be Cancelo left back, Declan Rice in the middle, and Vlahovic up front forward. That would be my
realistic.
Yeah.
Realistic.
Yeah, Juventus need to get money, bro. They're in trouble.
We are not spending that much on a number 9. You know that. No way.
I don't want Vlahovic. I don't want Vlahovic.
I like him, but we're not getting him. All of the
this year.
traditional
It's
number
realistic,
9.
Trev. It is potentially realistic.
It's not.
It's not a million miles away from.
How much is Vlahovic going to cost? That's north of 60.
It's not going to cost you as much as you think it is, Trevor.
How much do you think Vlahovic is going to cost you?
Less than 100 million.
And do you think you're going to spend that on one player? Arsenal, the club you support, Arsenal Football Club, you think they're going to spend over 40 million on a number 9, traditional number 9?
You're back in Champions League now. So I
honestly think they're going to think the same way. Apollo brought it up just briefly 2 seconds ago. I think the manager's going to think there's goals coming from all angles, the same way Pep has been doing it for years without Haaland. I think they're going to be saying there's goals coming from every angle. Up front, I don't think we have that much of a problem. They're signing Reece Nelson. We've needed a backup right midfielder. I don't think Reece Nelson, I think it's his time to go off. I think it's time to let go and cut ties. But I think that's another one. We're offering him a contract. It is what it is. Because I don't feel like they're offering him a contract, but I don't feel like he believes in him. He trusts him. Giving him 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. When you know, as we've been saying, in-game management, he's just so reluctant to hook Bukayo Saka. The kid's tired. The kid's having a stinker. Hook him. He doesn't want to hook him. The same thing with Zinchenko. The guy's poor. He's vulnerable. You can see he's getting attacked. They're attacking that position. He doesn't want to take him off. It's until we've been damaged and we've been violated. He now wants to go and take it. He's not reactive. But anyways, no, wait. That's another one, Tony. That's another.
It's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer this question. No, Caicedo, I don't think he's worth that money, mate. I don't think he's worth that. I don't think he's worth any more than 60.
Let me not even divert because I'll get into that one anyway. But Tony, you said Apollo said Apollo, what 3 players did you say?
Vlahovic, Cancelo, and Rice.
Okay, go on, Tony.
So I think you have to bear in mind what Bertram has said about gross spend in terms of if you sell correctly, your war chest is bigger than 180 million. If you sell correctly.
How much are we getting for them guys though?
Bruv, if you sell 10 players at 10 million each, that's 100 million, brother.
Which we're not gonna do, by the way.
Okay. But how much do you think some of them are 20 million players?
Fez. So who are your 3 players?
You're getting an extra 42 million from the Champions League as well, Tony.
Exactly. Thank you. My 3 players are Rice and Caicedo, because I think they both want to come to the club. I think the club has shown their intent by saying we want both players. And then my other player is the same as what Cam says. I'm happy to wait till January for Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
Neil? Wow.
Oh, right. So realistically, I'd like to see players like, well, Caicedo is not going to come to us, but I like Caicedo. Maddison's another one that I'd like to see there. There's rumours about McAllister. Well, we'll have to see whether we actually fork that money out.
I think he's going.
Yeah, he's going, mate.
Yeah,
no. Look, I'm the type of person that when I see them with the t-shirt and he's smiling like this,
Ebony.
No,
then I believe he's there.
Mate.
No,
only if you're an Arsenal supporter.
No. Then I believe because there has been so many players tied with Liverpool, right? Like, and it hasn't happened. Those players have gone somewhere else. And we see it season in, season out. So for me, I got to see this. I got to see this.
Deals done.
Or he's sitting at the desk. He's sitting at the desk and he's got the pen and he's doing this.
Liverpool get deals done. I think if he's noted, he's there. It's the same thing with Diaz, same thing with Gakpo, same thing with Nunes. If Luke, they're gonna get it done.
McAllister would be good for us. Maddison would be good for us. Caicedo would be good for us.
Okay.
Yeah. How many of those would we actually buy? Probably. Well, the rumours are about McAllister. Maddison isn't going to get there, and Declan Rice is another one that I'd like to see us as well. But it's all about money, isn't it? It's about money that you spend.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
And the players that we got to sell, we're not going to get. We're not going to get that money to buy one of those players. Yeah, we ain't getting anything for Ox.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Beer?
Think we're done, my friend.
No. Drew?
They don't need anyone. Who do they need? Who do City need?
You
I
can
think
never
Drew-
be too sure.
I can't hear Drew. Hold on, I can't hear Drew.
You're mute. You're mute, Drew.
Yeah,
Drew, you're
I'm not
mute.
sure if you're on mute because I can't
No,
see
I
a mute
think his
sign on.
mic's gone.
Yeah.
Hang on.
There we
yeah,
go.
I can
hear you
We can
now.
hear you now.
Yeah, back. Sorry. Right. I did want McAllister at City, but you can't have everyone. And if we're going to go after
You can pay for everyone, though.
Eh?
You can afford to pay for everyone.
No. We just commit basically financial fair play fraud, but I don't agree with financial fair play anyway, so fuck it. Sorry. You can't tell a businessman how to spend his money.
Demonetize the video when you swear, guys.
Yeah.
That person just said we should sell Balogun. I don't think we should sell Balogun.
Right, I want to make a point about Balogun actually. So, I had high hopes for him until this week, seeing that he's thrown it in. He doesn't want to play for England. He's going to play for USA.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get more game time at international level. To me, that says he does not actually have the bottle to compete with better players.
Nah.
Which worries me.
No, you can't say.
I'm
You
laughing.
can't say that.
No. I disagree with that because you've
I
got lots of
disagree with
players.
that, man.
You've got lots of players who will not make it into the England squad purely because it's easier for them to get into other international teams, and they do that. Yeah, the players that get overlooked.
So guys, come on, Drew. So I should sit behind Kane. Drew. I have no idea when Kane is retiring, but I'm gonna sit behind Kane like Tony does, and probably never play until Kane retires. And Kane will retire 5 years from now. Really?
But there is a reason though. But Tony's not getting ahead of Kane because he's not actually as good as Harry Kane. I hate to break that to people.
But he needs the opportunity and chances, right? When you're talking about England, you're talking about England of the future. If these players coming in aren't getting it because they're sitting behind players that, yes, Kane is a very good player, but Kane's coming towards the end of his career, right? You need to be breaking Tony.
Tony's not that young either.
No, but you need to be breaking Tony. So when are you going to start breaking Tony in? Shouldn't that be now? Shouldn't there be like some of the
Callum Wilson's ahead of him, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I'd agree with Callum Wilson being ahead of him.
I think Callum
They're
Wilson's
about the same age. They're both
Tony's a better player.
20s now.
I think Callum Wilson's ahead of him.
He played Tony the other day because he didn't want Tony to go to Jamaica, so he played Tony.
Exactly.
He's been cute. He didn't want Tony to play for Jamaica, so he played him to lock him in.
And that's the thing, and that's the problem. That is the problem.
So guys, Ivan Toney is 27 years old, so he still has another 5 years at the top level. It's just
and
what
Kane has another 5 years at the top level. He's not playing for England.
Yeah.
You never know in football. If you just keep
guys,
scoring,
on the flip side of that, guys, Jamie Vardy played in 37 games for Leicester. How many goals did he score this season?
Has he scored any? I don't remember him scoring any.
No, I'm saying about 6,
5
3.
or 4.
3. There we go. Well, see, I was closer than you, Bertrand. Yeah.
That's why we need a number 9.
But he didn't start a lot of games. He didn't start as many as he did in previous.
No, he didn't.
Games, actually.
Yeah.
I'll say this though. No one think we should go after Zaha. No one think we should pursue Zaha.
I forgot to say my players still. Quickly, I'll just say mine. I think we need Caicedo, Rice, and Mitrovic.
No, we don't need Mitrovic.
I think
he doesn't press. He can't press.
I think realistic. It's a different. We need something that's different. Like if he's on the bench and it's halftime, and you've seen there's games in halftime that we've needed to change it at halftime. We've needed something different.
I do see that, but you can't say
he brings you 15 to 20 goals a season.
Yeah, but bro, listen to what I'm saying. You can't say that you need Arteta to develop as a manager and then give him Mitrovic. That will cripple his system.
That's not
His
crippling
system
him.
would
That's giving him
never
another
work.
option. That's giving him another
Nah, Paul,
option.
that's not crippling, but he's gonna cost money. He's a
Yeah.
40 million plus player.
40
Zaha
million.
free.
That's realistic though. But you said we're getting money. You
Free.
said,
I'll take Zaha for 200,000.
Yeah.
so,
That
but
will
you don't.
cripple
But you
his-
don't think. So 40 million for Mitrovic is too much. But 60 plus for Vlahovic is not. Come on, realistic.
I'm not picking
Vlahovic is
I don't want Vlahovic. I don't want Vlahovic.
Yeah,
I
he's
want
a-
him, but I
I'm
don't
saying
think we're getting him.
Zaha can play across the front line. And
Chelsea will
Zaha
get
is
him.
free. I'll take Zaha. Sorry.
Or Kolomwani,
And
man.
and by the way,
Kolomwani.
Zaha doesn't disappear in big games.
What about
Zaha doesn't integrate
Kolomwani
like
from
City like my
Frankfurt?
forward line does.
Yeah, he dissipates on the small games, Bertram.
Yeah, we don't need the small game. We don't need the small games. We have enough people to play small games.
I definitely feel we need a squad of a bunch of players that is different. We need stuff that's different. We need someone that's gonna come off and is gonna do an adequate job, but in a different style. Do you know what I mean? Bring something different, bring a different type of threat. Because you already know in game, a lot of teams are gonna see the weak spot and read players. They're the weak spot. Oh, this is where we gotta go through. Oh, they're gonna keep doing the same play. Saka's gonna keep taking it to the byline. They read it. How many games have we said? Oh, they read Saka. They read it.
Yeah, I've been waiting patiently, T, and listening to your passion and everything, and the level of urgency in your opinions has far outweighed what this team can achieve. And I think I would agree with Tony and Bertram that we do need around 7 or 8 players, because we've been suffering through burnout by not much injury. You know, the injury sides, we couldn't do anything about that. You know, for a team to battle for the title and suffer 10 major injuries by an average of 2.5 months, you can't do that. You saw what happened to Liverpool after they won the title. They lost a few players, and look what happened to them. So the fact that Arsenal had to go through losing a ton of those players who were impact players, by the way, that's. And I think when there's a lot of people say about the bottling and all of that stuff, you're not even taking that into account. So it's unfortunate. But I do agree with Bertrand and Tony that you essentially need 7 or 8 players because you need 2 teams. And the most disappointing thing that I've seen over the last year is we cannot translate to 2 games a week. We can't do it. We just cannot do it.
So
and
Apollo, do you think, because you're saying we need 7 or 8 players, and I'm saying realistically, you know that's not going to happen. We've gone a whole season, and the only outfield player we signed was what? Czech, not even an outfield player. So that's
but Trevor, you're going in the history. Trevor, you're going back to history.
Okay,
like
cool.
you said
Fair.
before.
I hate doing that. Yeah. True. I hate doing that. I hate doing that. That's fair.
Trevor,
Cool.
So Trevor, when you're building a team, and you know I manage 13 people, and I can't get that in a week or 2 weeks or even a year in my job. It takes me years to find the right people, develop them, and have them be the people that I want them to be. That takes time. And unfortunately, I know fans don't care about that stuff because they want to see results. They want to see trophies lifted. They want to see
instant results.
It's not really that.
But it's just not realistic in the real world of things. And what we're seeing is we're no longer sort of getting rid of the dead wood. That phase is gone. And what we're seeing now, we've gone through the deadwood phase. We've gone through the young development phase. And by the way, that phase means that you're going to be able to sell a couple of players for some good money this summer if we decide to get rid of, a couple of players. And then last season's summer was bringing in the experienced players, the winners, the guys that have lifted the trophies, who know how to get it done. That when you're in the locker room, the Zinchenko's of the world and all of that will tell you this is what we need to do to get over the, to get over the hill. So it's a roadmap of development that can't be rushed because it's a natural, organic thing which winning teams have. And when you have the money, you can get there a hell of a lot quicker. But then if you get it wrong, a la Chelsea, look at the money Man United spent on Anthony, the money they lost with Di Maria, and I can go on and on and on and on with Man United. But this is just disposable losses which they've accounted for. But teams like Arsenal can't, we've done that with one player in Pepe, and everybody cries about it. But the other teams have lost millions of pounds on flopped.
I don't think
failed
Pepe's as
players.
bad as everyone was making it out to be as well.
He
by the way.
isn't.
I
He isn't.
agree.
He
But
really
I'm-
isn't. He was. He
yeah,
was
I
a
agree.
top. He was.
Yeah,
His
I've
GA
said-
record.
I've gone on record on this channel saying he was the most talented player at Arsenal.
He
and I
just
stand by
didn't
that.
fit in the system he was in, which is like so
Exactly.
many players, Ross Barkley, etc. So many
Yeah,
guys. It does not mean they're
exactly.
bad. It does not mean they're shit. They just don't fit in that system.
So
Simple.
what I'm saying is, things like this will just take time. And there was a 3-year plan when Josh came in, when Edu came in, when Richard Garlick came in, and Arteta came in. Those are 4 top heads in the front office. They had a 3-year plan. They've achieved that plan. They wanted to get themselves to challenge for the title and get in the Champions League. Mission accomplished. Now, year 4 and 5 is all about the Champions League and developing that. So the next chapter has started. And so we have to judge them on that. It's unfortunate you feel the way you do about the league and everything else, but that's gone now. We're in a different place. We're not the same team as we were 3 years ago. And the chains have moved. Yeah? We're no longer in our own half now. It's first and goal, and we got to come up with some new tricks. So let's see
we're
what
better
happens.
than Liverpool, which is good. We're chasing City.
Tony, I've got to take my medication, so I've got to run.
All right, my friend.
Yeah. So guys,
cool.
I'll let Tony see you guys out, but I have to go. I'm ailing at the moment. But thanks for joining us tonight, guys. I appreciate that, and thanks to everybody in the chat. I really loved your comments today. And you love, we love, and that's how it works, man. But I have to get my meditation, guys, because I'm ailing at the moment. Speak to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Have a good one.
Hold on.
Okay, Pollard.
Okay, guys. So we're just going to finish off with closing comments. We'll start with you, Neil. Any last? In fact, before you do that, let's have a prediction.
Okay.
Oh.
The score tomorrow is going to be Haaland 3, United 0.
Okay. Trevor.
Oh, this is actually hard, but I think it might be 2-1 United,
What?
Okay. Stan.
If United have Martinez, I think they're closer game. I'm gonna say 2-1 United because Ten Hag will put Fred on De Bruyne and mark him out the game. But City still has too much for Man U. Martinez not being there is a
They
big deal
beat
for
them
them.
this season, though.
Yeah, but they had Martinez playing, they had Fred playing, right? He plays Fred and De Bruyne. Fred does nothing except Bruyne. The one time they scored in that game when City scored was when Fred left De Bruyne to go tackle someone else and he got the ball. Otherwise, he plays him 24/7 in the game. He cut off the supply line, and it's a different game. But I still think Man City's playing with a lot of confidence, and they should win the game. I'm going to say 2-1 City.
Okay, I'm going to let Drew go last because it's his team in the final. So my prediction for the game is head says City, heart says United. Even although I know if United win it, we will be inundated with Man United fans being all in their feelings.
They'll be coming back out. They'll be coming back out the woodwork. They'll be coming back out.
It will be unbearable. It will be unbearable. But as I said, head says City, heart says United. I just got a sneaky feeling United 2-1. So now that we've all put our views in, Drew, this is your team. What's your prediction?
Just a quick question. Over the past 24 years, how intolerable have United fans been whenever they have been close to mopping up the Premier League and FA Cup? And
every time.
We've got the treble.
Time. The answer is every time.
They are intolerable. So anyone who wants Man United to win it is not a Man United fan. I do not believe you are a football supporter at the moment because you have had to suffer the indignity of hearing those Kentish twats going on. And yes, I am going to play the Kent card because, obviously the FA have laid buses on for the fans tomorrow and United have 10 buses from the southeast going for the game. So that is quite frankly, my favourite statistic about the game. Quite honestly, I think it will go to penalties, though. I actually do think it will go to penalties.
Really?
I think we'll win on penalties, 5-4.
Wow.
Very
Although
accurate.
injury news is Martinez is out. And the player who I was actually worried about, and I have insulted him quite a lot over the past season, but worried about because it means that City have to change the way that they play and actually go out wide at times to defend. Anthony will most likely miss the game as well.
Ooh.
I
So
don't think he's a
taking
big
them out,
miss. I think they play the Argentinian. I think the Argentinian is a better player.
Hey, can I change?
well, the other thing is as well, and I'm just going to address Bertram's point about how Fred marked De Bruyne out of the game. Fred played very well against De Bruyne earlier in the season. That is true. But also VAR played a blinder where Marcus Rashford was interfering with a clear-cut goal-scoring opportunity and was 5 yards offside. But we're not going to go into the problems with VAR and poor referee and Anthony Taylor, are we?
No. But my point on that, Drew, was that at least
Fred
Ten Hag had a
played
strategy,
well.
right? He had a strategy, which, you know what? Let me cut off the supply line as De Bruyne, and then let's see how City function. They didn't function as well as they normally do.
But that's when the run started.
He's going to do it tomorrow again. I'm telling you, he's going to do the same thing tomorrow again.
But that's round about when the run started. We had that poor performance against United, lost to Spurs, and then we didn't lose again until last weekend.
Okay,
so
Trevor,
Drew,
what's
suppose
your...
you do what Spurs does. Sorry, Tony, one last point. And play a deep box, right? A low block, and use Rashford to counter with, say, a Sancho, for example, or the Argentinian kid. Because you guys are susceptible when teams play a low block and have very good forwards who can beat one-on-one and get at you.
It was working when we were playing a back four.
Garnacho, yes.
When we were playing a back four, it was working. Now we're playing three centre backs effectively, and two holding midfielders. It doesn't seem to have the same effect.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, guys. It's been an emotional show. Closing comments. I'll start with you, Trev.
Keep it close but brief. It's been good, guys. It's been a good experience. Thank you. And Arsenal just invest and you'll win the league. Simple as. Everybody else below.
Simple as that. So you probably won't see me for the rest of the summer now because I go into
we know.
And I just want to see the players come August, midway through August. I just need
hopefully
to see the
some new faces.
Everybody just text Tony, right? News of the transfer window every day. That's what you need to do.
I'm on him.
I'm blocking people.
Best block my number right now, boy.
What's your closing comments, Neil?
Closing comments is I hope we get the players that we need across midfield, and if we do, we're in top four, definitely.
Cool. Bertram?
So a couple of things. One is it's always fun talking football, so enjoy the conversation. Two, I'm encouraged by my Arsenal team. It's been a very good season. It will only get better because we're going to invest. Three, I'm very pleased that Jamaica is getting more and more Premier League players to come play for us. And we have some coming down the pike. And Demarai Gray's just joined. We're going to have more coming down the pike. So, Drew, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to be losing more potential players as time progresses because they want to be on the international stage. So it's all good.
Excellent. Drew, what's your closing comments, mate?
Well, obviously excited for tomorrow. That's the second leg of the double, so we'll have the double hopefully tomorrow. I'm not mentioning the T word. I don't want to be like Liverpool and their Q word from last season.
We never said that. That was everybody else saying that. Stop saying it, right?
I know a lot of Liverpool supporters that were very, very happy when they won the quadruple in January. But, I like the Arsenal fans winning who won the Premier League in March. I'm so sorry.
At least we have clean money that we invest in our team.
Our money is obviously dodgy, but I don't care because I spent 30 plus years supporting an abysmal team, and now I'm excited and happy again. So I'm down with it.
Good
And
on
that's
you.
where I
Right.
want to be as an Arsenal fan, mate. I want to be there.
Just
Alright.
bring on the corruption, bring on the fraud. I do not care anymore. All right.
Excellent,
So
guys.
everyone's doing it. All sports, all walks of life. Everyone's in for a little bit of light fraud. So City went a little bit further than most.
I'm gonna
Does
get
it
back with you.
matter?
I gotta get back to you at something because you're dominating everything. You're gonna win the triple. It's crazy.
Look, right. We've got a chance this year to complete football, and that includes we could get a Club World Cup as well if we win the Champions League.
Hey.
Okay, Neil, stop at the treble. Nobody cares about a Club World Cup. You guys just
No,
piling on.
nobody does care about the Club World Cup. The fact that people do consider it an actual trophy offends me. Oh, you're going to go play the team that won the Central American equivalent of the Champions League. Well done. Well done for beating a team from Panama.
Yeah. Right, guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow, Drew. We will see you again at some point in time. I don't know where, I don't know when. See you, Trevor, on Monday, probably. So, yeah, have a great and blessed weekend, guys. Keep them punching.
Have a good one, gents.
Take care.
Peace out, guys.
Right then, see you later.